If you don't like it, turn the other Hey, everybody. It's the 10th anniversary Record Store Tales Extravaganza on the Friday, March 11th installment of the LeBrain Train. And that was Open Door Piss. And you know that when we start a show with Open Door Piss, you know that we're serious. We've got the coffee. We're good to go. But you know what? Before we start the show, before we start talking about Record Store Tales, the anniversary and all that stuff, let's do Robert Daniels' favorite part of the show, the unboxings. Well, I've actually already unboxed these collectibles that I'm about to show you, but we're going to open up one of them. So we shall start with these two. We'll start with these two. Brand new from Super 7. And I'm not going to remove them from the plastic. The plastic protects them very nicely. But this is two new Ghost figures. The first one that I'm going to show you is Papa Nile. He is the saxophone player. You can see he comes with a little chromed saxophone there. Very, very, very cool. Look at the silver embossing on his white cloak. Isn't that cool? And of course, the card is crazy. It's extra, as the kids say today. I mean, that's just excessive, right? That is just excessive. You don't need that much card for the figure that big. And then they went and did it again with the Papa Emeritus, or is it Emeritus or Emeritus? Papa Emeritus 2 figure. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Yeah, excessive. You don't need that much. I also have a brand new Andre the Giant figure. This is the old, not the old Andre. What am I saying? The earlier version of Andre when he had the longer hair. Look, he's even comes with like a beer can. So Andre will go up here next to his counterpart. No, I bought these particular ones. I bought directly from Super 7, the website, the company Super 7. So I've taken down that one. But interestingly enough, to go with that one, I just got the Made in Japan Eddie, and he comes with a chromed samurai sword. It's a different sword than the Trooper Eddie comes with, and it's chromed as well, which is nice. So that's the Made in Japan Eddie. Very cool. And I bought two of these guys so that I could open one. Johnny Cash, the Man in Black. They're cool. He comes with a guitar. Both cards are kind of bent, but this one appears to be more bent, so that's the one I'm going to open. Let's open up Johnny Cash. Shall we? I can see that he comes with his guitar. And that's actually the first. No, I think Lemmy Kilmister comes with his bass. But Johnny Cash comes with an acoustic guitar here. And I'm doing this in such a way that I'm not going to destroy the card. I don't want to destroy the card. I want to keep that. Cards are so easy to keep because they're just a flat piece of cardboard. So, just stuff them in the bottom of a box and you've got it kept. Okay, so there we go. Yeah. And out comes Johnny from the bubble. Oh, shit, something fell. Comes with a guitar strap as well. That's cool. Here's Johnny. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Johnny Cash. So we'll see what he looks like with his guitar. Doesn't look like he's going to be too easy to pose with his guitar, but we'll see. Well, that's not so bad. Here we go. There, that's not so bad. And he comes with a guitar strap, which I will attach later on because it looks kind of fidgety. And I don't know if he came with anything else and it fell. I thought I saw something fall. I don't know. Anyway, there's Johnny. Nice figure. Decent. Well, the guitar fell. His hands are permanently posed like that for guitar holding. And of course, he's got the leg articulation as well. And his head can swivel from side to side. Oh, look at that guitar back. There we go. And nice little acoustic there. Strings are painted on. Looks like they managed to paint 5. Yeah, that's not too bad. And let's see if I can get this. There we go. There's the guitar strap. Let's see if we can get it around Johnny's neck. There we go. I'm going to have to play around with it, obviously, but there we go. Not too bad. And he will go up there on the shelf next to Rob Halford and Papa Emeritus. That's cool. I'm glad to have that. I'm going to bring on my co-host for this evening, Mr. Harrison Cobb.
Comes a burning flame like a crack of thunder when you hear his name. So contrary, borderline insane, you can't look away. This is how we say happy birthday to the Mad Metal Man, to the Mad Metal Man. Heavy metal coursing through his veins, but he won't settle for the same old same. You try to sway him, but it's all in vain. He will never change. So this is how we say happy birthday to the Mad Metal Man. Hey, hey, hey. The Mad Metal Man. Hey, hey, hey. 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 Hey, hey, hey.
Oh, hey, Harrison, how you doing?
Hello, hooray. I'm doing well, thanks.
Oh, good. I was just reading this this book by one of our guests that we're having on tonight. Now, you're far too young to remember the 8-track tape, I'm assuming.
I don't think I've ever seen one in my life.
No, eh? Well, that's what they looked like on the inside. It was a single spool, and it was like an infinite loop. Didn't have a stop or a start, just continuous loop, and it would go from one track to another track, like the actual tape head would move from track 1 to track 2 to track 3, track 4. You'd get maybe 3 songs per track if you were lucky, but more often than not, the tape would not accommodate a full 3 songs, and you get one song that fades out, and then it switches tracks and it fades back in. It's an interesting format, but we'll be talking about that a little bit before we get into, the record store tales and all that crap. But thank you for joining me tonight. I believe Tim is just about ready. So why don't we run the intro theme and get the show on the road?
All right.
All right, let's do it. Welcome to the LaBrain Train, folks. Friday, March the 11th.
takeaway ticket to anywhere, and a glazed donut. To go, to go. The brain train. The brain train. All aboard.
Hey, Tim.
Hello.
How are
do you
you?
do?
Hello.
It's feeding time at the zoo. You know what I'm talking about.
You're talking about some Helix lyrics.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yep.
Good evening,
How you doing,
gentlemen.
Tim?
How
Have
we
you
doing?
Have you ever met Harrison before?
I don't know if we been on at the same time, Harrison. I feel like I know you because I've watched.
Other than the community show, which had like 10 other people on at that time, I
Right.
don't think so.
us.
Yeah.
Nice to make your acquaintance officially.
Yeah, thought always nice to meet another LeBrain reader and writer themselves.
Yeah. Well, actually, since Tim is here, why don't we talk about the writing? Because you still have some books for sale.
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, this little thing here.
Yep.
I've been hawking this now for I don't know how many months. Yeah.
You know what? I have to interrupt you for a second because you just did something that I found amusing. You showed off your book exactly the same way that you do your CDs and tapes. You showed the spine of the book.
Yeah. That's not a conscious thing.
I know.
It's just muscle memory. Seems like the thing to do, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, here's this measuring tape. You know, here's the side. Yeah. Yeah. Unspooled, an adventure in 8 tracks. Mike gave it a really great glowing review earlier this week on his website. Thanks for that, Mike. And
You're welcome.
it's $65 for a soft cover, $90 for hardcover. Those all these prices are in Canadian. All those are shipped to wherever you are worldwide. And we've got I think 3 Australian orders so far.
Wow.
Anyway, they come with a bookmark. I keep forgetting to mention there's a bookmark with them. No other frills this time, but they do come with a bookmark. And actually, this week we sold our first PDF. So if somebody's like, you know, I just don't buy physical books anymore, but I'd like to look at this. $15. You get a high quality, like a high res PDF of it, and it's yours immediately as soon as the payment's made. So, yeah, we're doing quite well. This week's been really, really well. By far, the orders that have come in this week have been my highlight because my wife and I both got a vicious flu bug that hit us last weekend. It's not the Rona. We tested for that, but it's not that. It was just a bad 24-hour flu bug with a long recovery period of headaches and dizziness. And I'm like most men. I don't handle sickness very well, so I'm kind of whiny when that happens. But yeah, it just whatever it was, it just shut me right out of commission earlier this week.
I am with you on that. Like, I'm sure you're familiar with Sheldon on Big Bang Theory. Leonard, I'm sick.
Yeah.
You know, someone bring me some hot soup.
The only good thing about it only happens, like, I haven't been sick like this about 7 years. So.
Oh, wow.
Hopefully that does me for another 7 years. But the older you get, the harder it is on you.
Afraid so. I haven't been sick, and knocking all the wood.
Yeah.
I haven't been sick in 2 years. So.
Well, I hesitate to blame like our nieces and nephews, but I'm going to blame them because they're little germ machines. And we had a family get together, and you know, it just made its way through. The only saving grace about it is that it is mercifully short. But yeah. But yeah, so I woke up Monday morning. Well, I say woke up Monday morning. I got up Monday morning. I didn't get any sleep, but 3 orders had come in overnight. So that was the silver lining.
Well, I'm glad that you're feeling better, obviously. Aside from the book, though, one thing I'm really excited about is something that you're posting later tonight on your YouTube channel. Yeah.
Tim's Final Confessions, if people don't follow me already. Mike and I did a, what was it, an hour and 42? I can't remember how long it was. It was a pretty lengthy
Yeah.
Salute to one of our favorite Canadian rock and roll bands,
Yeah.
the Mighty Helix.
Mighty Helix.
And I don't think we left any stone unturned. We went through both of our substantial collections of Helix albums, singles in various formats. And
I left one stone unturned, which is I couldn't locate that one tribute CD where they covered Set Me Free by The Sweet. That's the only stone, though.
Ooh.
I mean, and the thing is, though, Mike, like the things that you can't locate are so obscure that no one is going to say, I can't believe you couldn't find that.
Right. Like,
You
it's
know-
not on Volmer's website. There's some things that are
Yeah.
not on his website. And he's
Which
got a
is saying
pretty...
something because,
Mhm.
you know, he keeps the website is pretty much
It's comprehensive.
immaculate. Yeah, comprehensive. I mean, a lot of his book, that's where it came from. He told
You
a
know
lot of
what?
those stories. on
I
the
forgot
website.
there was one other thing. But you know, if we weren't so like cramming so much info into an hour and whatever last week, I would have remembered more of this. I never told you this, and I may as well tell the story now because it's in the Record Store Tales. But did I tell you that I met Snake the Tattoo Man?
No.
Okay. Well, you are obviously aware of who
Yeah,
Snake
he's in the Running Wild in the 21st Century video.
Right.
Yeah.
And his claim to fame was he was on the Phil Donahue show. I believe he got kicked out of a mall in London because he was covered head to toe in tattoos. And they kicked him out. So he made Phil Donahue. Well, he liked to shop in Cambridge. And I guess he went to our Cambridge location and was trying to sell them autographed postcards and things like that. And they said, no, but there's a guy at the Kitchener location who's a big big Helix fan. So he came down to my location and he said, yeah, the guy said that you're a big Snake the Tattoo Man and Helix fan. And I'm like, I'm a big
Sure.
Helix fan. I'm a
Yeah.
big Helix fan. But anyways, yeah, I got signed postcards of me and Phil Donahue and me and Brian Vollmer. And I didn't buy anything of his. And it was weird. Honestly, it was weird. But
Yeah,
I met...
remember seeing, and you've probably got it. You probably posted it. But I remember seeing, like it was an outdoor interview.
Yeah, with
on
Dan
Much
Gallagher.
Music with Brian. Yeah, with
Yeah.
the late Dan Gallagher, with Vollmer and Snake.
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe it was when they premiered the video.
It was when they premiered the surrounds. I believe it was called surround
right.
sound.
Yeah,
Send
it was-
surround, I think they called it.
Yeah.
It was a special mix. But regardless, yeah, your memories are bang on. I did post that video, and hell, maybe I'll even run it tonight. Who knows?
And just for the heck of it, you know, when I would hear those things about surround sound, I would just kind of, okay, because we never had like really high, like we had televisions, but they
Right.
weren't the highest end. And I always found that Much Music, every once in a while, I guess it would depend on who it was, but every once in a while you'd get a song where you were missing parts.
Edit versions.
Well, no, I don't mean that. I mean,
No?
let me give you a good example. That video, to me, that didn't sound any different than the album version to me with my television. But a
Okay.
really good example would be a lot of the Skid Row videos. I couldn't hear the guitar solos
Oh,
because
interesting.
if something was like hard pan to one side,
Okay.
yeah, it was
Gotcha.
that kind of thing.
You know, I can tell you that when I was recording videos off Much Music and whatnot, I didn't have the fidelity to be able to get all the necessarily all the nuances in the song. Like, you know, the video for Shandy fades out at the end and they turn around and they're still
Yeah.
wearing their makeup. On the album, there's a really high keyboard part there, but on the
Yes.
video, I couldn't hear that at all. I couldn't hear it at all.
No, and it's probably there, but another really obvious one was when they would play Bohemian Rhapsody.
Mm,
Because you'd be missing like every other Galileo, for example. So you'd see the lip sync, but you wouldn't hear anything. Like I said, anything that was hard panned, it seemed like they weren't set up for it or something.
But you
Probably
know, one thing that was good about Much Music, regardless of the sound quality, because
Much Music. Look, Much Music was my education. Like with
Right.
music. Like I learned, like literally, I learned so much about music. And
Right.
I've said this many times before. I wouldn't be the Rush fan that I became if it weren't for Much Music. Because back then, in 1987, around that time when I got into Rush, it's because Much Music played them all the time. You never
heavy
heard them.
rotation.
I never heard Rush on the radio. Heard them once. First song I ever heard by Rush was I heard the Big Money on a request show that I listened to in the States one time. That was it for many, many years. So yeah, Much Music was a great supporter of Canadian artists, old and new. And oh man, like I used to love the spotlights. When they'd play like an older band and you hadn't seen many other videos. They play videos they wouldn't normally play. I'm trying to think if someone just asked if I could hear Malcolm or Angus. I can't really remember any AC/DC videos where I noticed things were missing, but I wasn't really listening to AC/DC back then.
It wasn't so much stuff where the instruments were loud. It was more stuff where maybe they were a little bit in a narrower part of the audio spectrum.
Yeah, like I said, if there was anything that if you listened to with headphones was all on one side, sometimes you just miss that. And I just seem to remember the Skid Row videos that you couldn't really make out the guitar solos that well, or you'd get the echo of the solo. You wouldn't get the main signal. Really weird. And then you'd get the album and you go, oh, that's what it's supposed to sound like.
Right, exactly.
I hope people are still watching, Mike. This is really nerdy stuff.
Well, it does tie into the theme of the Record Store Tales because that's where like you and I we almost have the exact same history. Chris Sire has a question for Harrison. Did you have a music channel like MTV or Much Music?
We definitely did have music video channels. For the longest time, it was just called Video Hits. But in the early 2000s, I think about 03, 04, a program by the name of Rage. And that's basically been going ever since.
She's just wishing me a happy 10 years.
Happy 10 years.
Thank you. It was 1984, I think, when we first got Much Music. So that's do the math for me, people.
In, August of '84.
Okay, so that's when we got it. Yeah, please, just give it a zap if you don't mind. I get special treatment tonight.
Right. And but I have very fond memories of when I discovered that we had it in my little hometown. Spotlight introduced me to more Back in Black and Who. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Spotlights are fantastic. I think did I tell you the story about the Whitesnake Spotlight?
No.
Okay. Well. So first of all, I discovered Much Music, I think, in January of '86. That's when it came to our little town. And it was literally like we had a rotary dial. I was in my parents' room because they were watching something I didn't want to watch on our. We had a big Zenith floor model that weighed about 1,000 pounds. And but they had a little Sears black and white TV with a rotary dial. Literally, we're talking, this only went up to 13 people. Like, it's hard for people, the younger people, to get grasp this. We had not a lot of variety. And at that time, there was nothing assigned to Channel 8, or so I thought. And I'm there's something on Channel 8. Turned it back. It's a video. And Mike, it was this really weird video. It was these three guys. One guy sitting behind this massive set of drums. There's a guy playing a little Steinberger bass. And there's a guy playing like an acoustic guitar. And they're all like circling around each other. Then it cuts to this weird skeleton toy with these really weird skeleton toys inside the skeleton toy. Do you know what video I'm talking about?
Well, Time Stands Still?
No, but you got the right band.
Big Money.
Skeleton toy. The little skeletons are coming down.
But Roll the Bones came way later.
Yeah, no. You're in the same time. You were in the same time period.
I'm trying to think of the skeletons. Like, the only thing I can think of when you say skeletons is the video for Roll the Bones.
No, this was like a plastic skeleton, but inside were all these little tiny skeletons. This wasn't animated. These were like wooden or something. Anyway, it was Mystic Rhythms.
I've never seen it.
Oh, okay.
I've never seen it.
So anyway, that was when I realized, because the label came on, and that's when I realized we had Much Music, and that was exciting. Love is a Battlefield, right on. Yeah, Harrison, I remember, I've seen clips on YouTube from Rage. Just trying to, a lot of the old AC/DC ones. And even, seems to me there was a couple of old Alice Cooper ones that the versions that I found on YouTube were from Rage. Ones like, weird ones like, what's the one from, it's going to go right out of my head. It's disco-y. It's from the late 70s.
Well, there was a video for How You Gonna See Me Now.
Yeah, it's around that time period. It's from the one before that. I hate getting old.
One before that was Lace and Whiskey.
No More Love at Your Convenience.
Oh,
Not a great song. Not a great song.
I've never seen that.
The version, and I can barely remember it. I think it's black and white, but the version that was on YouTube came from Rage because I remember seeing the little label on it.
I remember when Much Music basically only had one Alice Cooper video, and it was Teenage Frankenstein Live.
Yeah, they played that a lot in the Power Hour.
They did.
I got to the point where if I missed something, okay, that played at 1. That means it's going to play again at 9.
Yeah.
And if I miss it again, it's going to play at 5 a.m. So I'll set my
because they did the
VCR.
3.
Yeah, they did 3 8-hour rotations. Oh yeah.
I had it memorized. I also remember when they first launched that channel, there weren't a lot of music videos.
Right.
And I remember they were playing in regular rotation. Multiple times I would see Are You Experienced by Jimi Hendrix.
Okay.
Imagine that today.
Yeah.
Are You Experienced in regular rotation?
Trivia time. Now it's just so it happens the very first video I saw on Much Music was a Rush video, but apparently the very first video played on Much Music was The Enemy Within from Grace Under Pressure.
Never would have imagined
which
that.
was probably recent at the time. I had another thought too, Mike, and I should write these things down because it's in there somewhere. It was about Much Music. It was about trying to catch things when they came on. Oh, I know what it is. To anybody watching this, and it's a very odd choice of song, and I don't even know how I stumbled upon it. But if anybody remembers the old Spotlight, and when I mean the old Spotlight, the little Spotlight graphic that would go
when
across
it used to go like across the screen like that,
and then it would fill in.
Yeah.
If you want to see that, go not right now. We're watching.
Right.
Go on YouTube and type in Kraftwerk Trans Europe Express because somebody uploaded a version of that video from an old Much Music Spotlight, and man, does it ever warm the heart to see that Spotlight graphic.
I think
I'd love to see one like that for the Power Hour, for the Hostess Sneak Previews, for the countdown, like the Coca-Cola countdown.
I have examples of all of those on tape. I just haven't uploaded them because I don't upload songs, all the songs I have are already there. But what you say is interesting, like, because I could create like a collage of all the credits is what you're talking about. And I could create collages of that without probably tripping up copyright because they'd be so brief.
Right. Yeah. But like it's funny because it's like, when I remember when we first got a VCR, one of the things that I was sort of entrusted with, because I was the oldest, was here's some blank videotapes. When the Christmas specials come on every year, like the Grinch and Charlie Brown and all those, record them so we can watch them as many times as we want. And whenever possible, I'd sit home and watch, and then when the commercials would come on, I'd pause and then I'd unpause. But sometimes we'd be away, so we'd set the timer, right? I wish I'd set the timer for everything so I could have all the commercials.
I know. Hindsight's 2020.
Back then.
Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
I know that I've enjoyed finding commercials on my tapes. Like I found one. What was I recording? It was one of those times where I was recording like a concert. So, I just set the VCR to record the entire thing instead of editing out the ads. And Tom Green hawking pizza when he was in that rap group Organized Rhyme.
Yeah.
And they're doing this ad for pizza. They're rapping for pizza. And I uploaded that one. Oh, and you know what? The other classic that I found is, it's Patrick. He took out life insurance. Remember that one? The insurance ad? The father answers the phone. Oh, hello, son. Dear, it's Patrick. He took out life insurance.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that one?
Yeah, it's very over the top. Like, acting. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure that I couldn't get approved for life insurance at my age. That kind
of... act natural. No one thought to tell the actors that.
Right.
I remember once, it's funny, you mentioned setting the timer. That always makes me think of this. I remember we were going away, and remember the big ticket? They'd always have a concert on Saturday nights.
Yeah.
One night they showed Van Halen Live Without a Net. This was like 88.
I got it on tape. Or I had it on tape. I erased it.
Yeah, I've got it on DVD now, but for some reason I had it in my head to only set the VCR for an hour.
Yeah, with ads and everything. That thing
literally, Eddie sitting down to play what we would later know as 316. He's like, do 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 do. That was it.
Oh no!
Now something tells me that wasn't the whole concert.
Yeah, right. Exactly. They cut it just as Eddie's starting his solo. Right.
Yeah.
That's editing genius. Oh damn, that sucks. Yeah. I still have my Guns N' Roses Live at the Ritz taped from when Much Music broadcasted with all the beats. I remember
that. They used to play that.
Yeah. And like you said, what I did was I erased it and I recorded over it with a rental that I dubbed.
You know, there are some things that Much Music, some of those concerts, they briefly issued on DVD.
I know. I saw a Glass Tiger one.
There's a Glass Tiger one. There's a Gowan one.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, the Gowan one in his band was Steve Shelsky from Coney Hatch.
Didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. I was watching and it was like, he looks familiar. And they introduced the band. I'm like, I thought that's who that was.
Wow.
But one that I really wish they put out is the Honeymoon Suite one from '86 from Halifax.
Oh.
I'd love to see a really well done version of that one.
They had a lot of good content. I'd like to see some of the specials that they ran. I remember them doing one on Haywire that was really interesting. And I remember that Haywire were playing with, of all bands, the Screaming Trees. It was the first time I ever heard of the Screaming Trees.
What?
Yeah.
Are you sure it was the Screaming Trees or just the Trees? Because there was a Canadian band called the Trees.
No, because I remember it being an American band.
Okay.
And
wow, that is
the Screaming Trees.
Meanwhile, Harrison's like, "Who in the hell is a Haywire?"
But I think we've educated him on some of these bands. Like I know you know who Gowan is by now.
Well, I mean, I can still remember watching the Much Music News and seeing him in front of a keyboard with a Styx logo on it, and going, "Huh?
Yeah, what happened there?" Yeah,
yeah. There's a lot of that content. I remember summer '87. There was a Sunday afternoon. They called it Bon Jovi Day. So they were all outside the studios, and the entire band were there. And I think it was Christopher Ward was doing all the interviewing, and they were having like a barbecue stuff. Cool. Like it was stuff that would never happen now.
Yeah,
as long as John didn't sing.
And here's something. Back then he was okay.
They were on top of the world back then. They were my number one band back then.
Kevin brings up a good memory here. You remember that when Weird Al would take over? They would do Al TV.
Al music. One of my favorite Weird Al bits that he did. You know when they'd have him doing the interview and then they'd cut to someone else and it would be
the one with Ozzy?
No, the one I'm thinking of is the one with Vince Neil.
Oh God, I got that one on tape.
Motley Crue, and so here's Weird Al saying, "So Vince, is it true that you're going to be doing a duets album with Bob Hope?" And it cuts to Vince. "I would never work with anybody but Bob." Now he meant Bob Rock.
Right.
It's so stupid, but it's funny.
I love personally. I agree with you. That is funny, but that was the kind of thing that only guys like us were going to catch.
Yeah.
The Bob Rock thing. But I remember the Ozzy one was so funny because he says, "Hey Ozzy, why don't you just go ahead and mumble something completely incoherent?" And then they cut to Ozzy going like, you know, it was very funny. Yeah. So those are definitely winners. I know our next guest, Brian, is sitting in the waiting room. He's been waiting patiently. But before we bring on Brian, I just want to mention one thing, which is back to this. I don't know why, but you asked me to participate in this book. And I truthfully don't know why. I wouldn't mind knowing why.
Mike, I can't remember if I'd done one or two appearances.
You hadn't done any. We barely knew each other.
I don't. You know, my memory's so bad. I get the last 2 years have just been kind of a blur, right?
Yeah.
I think instinctively, I just kind of knew. I said, this guy would have some stories to tell, I bet. And I honestly, Mike, I put a lot of feelers out and didn't get many responses.
No.
So, but you talked, I mean, your story.
Did you ask Billy Sheehan?
Ooh.
I didn't ask Billy Sheehan.
Good.
Ask Deke about Billy Sheehan.
Oh, did Deke have a bad experience with Billy Sheehan?
Very, very bad. Very bad.
Oh, that's too bad.
You can
Ask
read
him
it.
Ask him privately.
Oh. You know what? I mean, I've not met a ton of people, like, well-known musicians, but knock on wood, I've had pretty good luck. I've never had that awful experience of having, a musician that you admire be a jerk to you. I've never had that. Now, having said that, and I'm not going to name names, I've met one musician that I think I must have met on a good day because I've heard nothing but bad things. I said, boy, I must have hit him on a good day. So
we're not going to guess.
That sucks,
That
man.
doesn't narrow it down at all. So
no, and I don't want to narrow it down.
I understand.
But
well, kindly enough, you did include me in this book. And,
well, when you told me that story that's in the book about how you mistook the innards of an 8-track for another substance,
chocolate.
I thought that would look really good in print. Not only that, but in my mind's eye, I was like, I know exactly what 8-track I want to picture with this.
Yeah, and you did. You got that Chicago one.
I ordered it off eBay simply to take a picture of it, and it became one of the sacrificial lambs, as it were, when we needed a lot of 8-tracks to open up to get some of these shots.
Oh wow!
So,
oh my God!
Yeah,
Mike, you just murdered an 8-track.
I did. I murdered an 8-track. This is true. Amanda Walsh played. The character was called Katie instead of Penny. That's 100% true.
Okay, I remember her.
Yeah, she was really, really popular.
Yeah.
But long story short is, because of Tim, there is technically a record store tale that you could only get by buying this book. So if you are one of the very few Mike Ladano completists out there, and I think I might be the only one, you have to buy this book to get the unreleased record store tale that is only available in print. So there's me doing my best job to sell some books for you.
Mike, you've been so supportive, man. I really
Are there
appreciate
Japanese
it.
bonus pages?
Japanese bonus pages, maybe in the next printing, Harrison. God.
It's interesting, and I know, like Mike and I talked about this. It's hard to review something that a friend did, and I just said to him, man, be honest. Don't pull any punches. There's things about it that I would change. Not many, but there are things about it that I would change. I've noticed in there, I said, I should have said this instead of that. But you gave it a great review, and it's helped. It believe me, anytime somebody steps up like that, I really appreciate it, because we're doing this ourselves here. This is self-promotion, and I can see why people do it, and I can see why people stop doing it. You truly got to love it. You got to love but it's been, when I get feedback like that, it makes it all worth it.
Now that I didn't know.
Angela
That I
Dorman.
didn't know.
I think she was the one that said one of the funniest lines. Was she blonde? She on in like the early 90s, the very early 90s?
Yep.
Or am I thinking somebody else?
Nope, that's her.
She said something, and it was just off the cuff. And I laughed so hard, and I've used this line so many times. She was talking about a girl that she went to school with, and she said her jeans were so tight, if she had a dime in her pocket, you could read what year it was.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right. Without further ado, I'm going to bring on our next guest. This is Brian Richards, and I have actually never talked face-to-face with Brian before in my life. He's been a Facebook friend for a couple of years now, and he apparently, I don't know why, but apparently he really loves reading what I write. So please welcome Brian.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
How you doing?
Brian.
Everybody hear me good with my makeshift setup here?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Awesome.
I just have to adjust my camera, so just give me 1 second here.
I'm using my wife's home office here, but I'm not using her actual office setup desk. I'm doing a little makeshift thing so I could have a little bit cooler background.
I like the
your
background's very cool.
Beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I do what I can. I
That's
had to
what-
Brian,
compete.
where
I
you,
love
uh,
the Stars and Stripes poster there.
What's
Yeah.
that?
I love the Stars and Stripes poster, or whatever they call that. The Peter with the marching drum there.
Spirit of 76, is that the one? Is that what they
Yeah.
call it?
Yes.
The U.S. Tour
Yes.
76. The WKRP one that Andy Travis put up in the first episode on the radio station door, if anybody remembers that. But anyways,
Brian.
hey, thanks for having me.
Where are you located geographically?
Sartell, Minnesota. Basically, it's just north of Minneapolis, St. Paul.
So we have, for the very first time, 4 completely different time zones. This has never happened before. That's
Okay,
pretty
you're in
exciting.
Canada, Mike, and Harrison and Tim. Where are you guys?
I'm in Australia.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I think the clicking noise might be coming from Tim, I think. It's gone.
It's gone.
Oh, it's back. I don't know. We'll just deal with it. Anyway. So
I was gonna
yeah,
say, it's telepathic clicking if I'm doing it.
Tim, where are
So
you
we-
based out of? I missed it earlier.
I'm in the very, very eastern part of Canada, province of New Brunswick, and I'm not too far from the border of Maine. So I grew up a border kid.
Oh, okay.
and
I've
Harrison,
been to
you're,
Canada. I've been to Canada one time. I went to Toronto back in what was it, 1999 to see Paul Stanley in the Phantom of the Opera. So that's my
Nice.
Canadian
just-
claim to fame.
Have we ever discussed this? I saw him in '99 too as Phantom.
I
we ever
don't think
discussed
we
that?
have.
Well, there you go. We have that in common. I Pantages Theater.
Yep.
Well, we're even there. I've only been to Toronto once. I was there in 2004 to see Rush.
Okay.
That's the farthest west I've been in Canada so far.
Well, I still have my program from the night that I saw Paul Stanley, and I'm
So
going
do
to
I.
be showing
I
it
have
off on
a
next
whole-
week's show.
I have a whole packet of like the program, and I think I bought some postcards that night of him in different Phantom poses and stuff. I've got it buried down in the garage somewhere.
It was really wild for me to see people in black leather jackets at the Pantages Theater.
Yep, I remember that.
It's a button-up shirt and tie kind of place, right?
I made a point of not wearing a Kiss shirt that night. I'm just like, oh, people, please, I know you like Kiss. I love Kiss too, but it's a theater production. Don't wear your Kiss T-shirts. And of course, there were a few of them.
Look at that. Kevin and Sarah might have been at the same Rush show.
Oh, it
Wow.
would have had to be at the most in the amphitheater. Hey, did you guys get your? Did you guys have anything that you got taken at the security before you went in, and then you couldn't get it back?
Not that I recall.
No.
No. I mean,
No.
whoever went to the Rush show.
Oh,
Security
What do you
was
mean?
a little overzealous that night.
Oh, really? Oh. I
What
didn't
year
know
was
I
that.
it?
never told you that story.
2004.
oh,
Yeah. Did you know CDs could be used as weapons?
Yeah, actually, I did, because I used to work in a used CD store, and people used
So-
to. Yeah.
I've known they could be
So-
used as frisbees.
So
Yeah.
if you don't let people take CDs in because they can be used as weapons, you shouldn't be able to sell CDs in the same area you can't let them into.
Are you kidding me? They took your CD.
It's a whole thing. I won't hog the time here with it, but if we're swapping concert stories, then
Okay, I tell you what, we will do a show in the future where we do concert stories, because Uncle Meat's got the best concert story of all time, and he's already told it twice, but he can tell it again and again and again and again, as far as I'm concerned. But Uncle Meat has the honor that he blew marijuana smoke up Geddy Lee's nose by accident. So
and when you started to say that, I'm like, where's this going?
when I said
Hey,
the word
at
blue,
least it wasn't Roger Daltrey of The Who. He would have gotten chewing out then on stage.
well, this was 2019 at the Lennon Claypool Delirium show. Geddy Lee came on stage and played guest bass that night, and I guess Meat was out in the back having a smoke near the tour bus, and he took a big haul, did that, and Geddy Lee walked right out of the tour bus into his cloud of smoke.
We're on the
Contact.
train to Bangkok.
Did it make his
Right,
voice
right.
go higher?
Who knows? I won't speculate as to what happened with Geddy, or if he was, pleased or displeased at the events.
what? Listen, anybody who hangs around Alex Lifeson as much as Getty does has got to be used to it.
Right. Alex Lifeson's been on the Trailer Park Boys. But that was actually Meat's second encounter with Getty, because he met Getty on the Clockwork Angels like promotional stint. He won the opportunity to meet Getty and Alex, and Meat gave me his signed copy of Clockwork Angels.
Oh,
he's got the picture of him with Getty and Alex.
That's so cool. The closest that I ever would have come, oddly enough, I would have been most likely to meet Neil Peart, because I live about 10 minutes away from the Sabian Cymbal Factory in Meductic, New Brunswick. That's
wild.
That's one of the odd claims of fame of this area, and there aren't a lot of them as far as rock and roll goes. But yeah, the Sabian Cymbal Factory is in a little tiny village where my parents grew up, and we're related to it's a small little village, and there's this major cymbal manufacturer known the world over. I remember seeing ads in Circus for Sabian cymbals, Meductic, New Brunswick, and I used to think, wow, that's pretty cool.
That is very cool, man. So Brian, I understand that you were on the Eddie Trunk show yesterday.
I was actually on Tuesday.
Cool.
Actually, I call every once in a while, but yeah, he had on Tuesday. He did a throwdown episode, an album throwdown between Judas Priest, British Steel, and Screaming for Vengeance. So I called in as one of the callers on that, and it gave my 2 cents on it.
And I believe you went track by track for
I did
on Screaming.
I did.
Yeah?
I broke it down.
Yeah.
I gave the edge to British Steel. I like both albums quite a bit, but I had to go British Steel because as I broke it down track by track, and to me it broke down 6-3 in favor of British Steel. If you think that both albums have 9 tracks on them.
Sure.
So yeah, I just thought it was the stronger of the two. If you go track by track, the interesting thing that came up, and I didn't realize this until I was on the show the other day, but my copy of the vinyl from 1980 has a different track listing apparently than most other versions of the release. It starts with Breaking the Law, and most later editions start with Rapid Fire, and Eddie was very surprised by that, and I didn't realize it till I was talking to him, actually.
I'm trying to think of what our cassettes in Canada started with, and I'm thinking they started with Breaking the Law.
I'll show you if you guys can see.
Yeah, I can zoom in, and we'll do a close-up here.
Vinyl. Sorry for my bad lighting there, but
that's okay.
Actually, hold on. If I take it out of the plastic sleeve, it might reduce some of the glare a little bit.
Yeah, we'll reduce the glare. But yeah, I can see side one.
But if you can kind of see a little bit on the corner there, yeah, it starts. Side one starts with Breaking the Law, and then side 2 starts with Living After Midnight. And on later releases, side 2 starts with Don't Have to Be Old to Be Wise. So that was an interesting little revelation.
That is cool. I think the old Canadian cassette that I grew up with had Breaking the Law starting side 1 and Living After Midnight starting side 2. But God, I don't have my cassettes anymore.
Just for fun, guys, do you want to hear what the US 8-track listing was?
Yes,
sure.
Of course I do.
I don't have it. I'm just looking it up on Discogs.
Do it.
I love Discogs way too much. By the way, there's one copy for sale for $69.99. You can have British Steel on 8-track.
Isn't that unreal? Oh my God.
Which is far from the newest Priest 8-track. That would be Defenders of the Faith.
84.
Yeah. So anyway, Program 1, Breaking the Law, United, Living After Midnight, ka-chunk. Program 2. Oh, you got to be a certain age to know what that ka-chunk means.
Yes.
Yeah. Rapid Fire, Metal Gods, Grinder Part 1.
Right. Ka-chunk.
Yep. The fade in the middle of the song.
Grinder Conclusion, Breaking the Law, The Rage, and then Program 4, Don't Have to Be Old to Be Wise, and Steeler.
Wow, that's a different list.
It's all
United is track 2. That's Harrison's favorite song.
As close to the same length as possible.
Yeah, because that's all that mattered.
You couldn't rewind 8 tracks. You could only fast forward them. And I don't know.
That's right.
It's such a flawed, strange technology.
Yeah, the
Why
signature
must that
thing with
be? I don't
8-tracks,
know.
as I remember, was always that where they would break a song into 2 parts. Like
Right.
if
Yeah,
you had
and again,
Leonard
that was-
Skinner's Golden
that-
Platinum or something, you'd have Freebird Part 1, and then Freebird Part 2, like right as it's getting to the guitar solo on the next program.
And I don't think that you ever got. I think when they did that, I think you ended up missing a few seconds of the song.
More than likely.
But it's funny when they would do that. I'm thinking back to the '70s, and you just talked about Meat blowing the smoke into Getty's face. I'm just picturing a bunch of guys, driving around, listening to something, and then somebody going, "Hey, where'd the music go, man? Oh, it's back.
It's back. It's okay."
It's
Somebody
all
just
right."
made the comment, Grinder in 2 parts would make me mental.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
when you look at some of the track listings, it would not make for the most pleasurable of listening experience. And some of the albums, they just mangled the track listings. So for all of those reasons, I still love collecting them because I'm just amused by them.
I wonder what Made in Japan is like on 8-track.
Oh, Deep Purple.
I can tell you.
Even the water's probably divided up
It'll
over
be
3
like
different
every song
programs
will be
in 4
part
different
1,
parts.
part 2.
I got a
Yeah.
Canadian made in Japan right here.
Wow.
So if you want to zoom in on that, Mike,
Yeah,
maybe
let's
everybody
do
can
that.
see it. Can everybody
Okay,
read that?
Yep, I'll read it out loud. We have Highway Star and Child in Time on program 1, Ka-Chunk, Smoke on the Water, Mule, Strange Kind of Woman, and then it says
Begin, B-E-G.
Begin. That's what that means. Okay.
Yeah.
And then program C, Strange Kind of Woman, Conclusion, Lazy, Space Truckin', Beginning,
Begin.
and Space Truckin' Conclusion on the entire
So
program D.
So like half of Space Truckin' takes up an entire program.
That's nuts. But
I'm
that's
surprised that Child in Time didn't get split.
Right?
Yeah, I'm surprised Child in Time isn't its own
Good
program.
job.
now
on
that
that
would be
one.
an extra long tape because that's 2 records on one 8-track.
Yeah, if you hold up a double live album on 8-track and just a studio album, you can feel the difference in the weight.
You know, Tim, I just had a thought. It's almost a missed opportunity that they didn't do 8 tracks in clear shells. That would have looked cool.
Hold on.
Oh my goodness, he's going to show us an example.
I wonder
talk
what
amongst
Wish You Were
yourselves.
Here is like on 8-track because,
Talk
you know,
amongst
Shine On
yourselves.
You
Parts
Crazy
1, 2, 3,
Diamond.
4. Yeah,
I gotta
that would be a mess.
find out what
Part 1, Part 1, Part 1, Part 2.
Oh my God. How many times is Almond's Mountain Jam on Eat a Peach split? There you go. There's another good one.
Is this the anniversary show or the 8-track show?
I won't waste a lot of time looking for it, but there is a picture of it in the book. I have it in here somewhere. We used to use these things in radio to put commercials and individual songs on. They were basically 8 tracks. We called them carts.
Parts.
And
Okay.
they just didn't have as much tape in them.
I've worked in radio
And-
too. I remember those days.
Yeah, if you'll bear
There you
with
go.
me, I got a pretty good picture of one. Of course, I can't find it on demand.
Of course not.
No.
Just hold
But
up an
that's okay.
8-track. It's basically the same thing.
Yeah, it is. It's just that I just remembered it. Here it is.
Okay, so we're going to zoom in. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So you could see through it. So if I had a machine that would play those, it would have a bunch of jingles on it from when the radio station I worked for was still AM. And
That's
it would
cool.
just- one would play and it would stop, and then it would automatically forward to the next one, and then it would loop around again. And I can remember using them for. I don't have any Jethro Tull. Sorry. Yeah, I know.
Well-
Harrison's probably like, why? Of all the
I
bands-
I
did-
find this technical stuff fascinating.
I did say from the very beginning that we were kind of going to just wing it tonight, have special guests come on and talk, and I know Brian's going to be talking about the new Kiss live at some point tonight.
Brian, you'll appreciate this. This is one of my prized possessions.
Oh my
yeah.
God!
Elder, yeah. I've
Look
got
at
that on
that.
vinyl.
It's not the last one, but it's the last one I have. And also, I'm sure if you're a big Kiss fan, you know who Julian Gill is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's written some books, I
Julian
believe.
contributed a chapter to this too.
Is the track
forgot that.
listing from the Elder, does it on 8-track resemble the actual intended track listing any more than the vinyl did?
It's what it is. Actually, it's not bad. It's more or less it's in the original order, which is to say it starts with the oath. So it's the oath, fanfare, just a boy, dark light conclusion, only you under the rose. Program 3 is World Without Heroes, Mr. Blackwell, Escape from the Island, and then Program 4 is Odyssey and I, which to me that's in order.
That's the original running order, but not the concept album running order.
Right. But on the other hand, Program 1 of Dynasty is 2000 Man and Magic Touch. So
wow. Magic Touch. I'm trying to think. Is that normally the second song? But it usually starts with "I Was Made for Loving You."
Yeah, it's usually "I Was Made for Loving You," then 2000 Man.
Okay.
"I Was Made for Loving You" is like the second to the last song on Program 4. They split "Save Your Love" and "X-Ray Eyes" in half.
I wonder, Tim, and maybe you can enlighten me here, but I wonder if also, in addition to making the track lengths as even as possible, if consideration was made to, okay, so we're not going to make the single a song that's split in half, but we'll make another song a song that's split in half rather than the big hits. No,
yeah, I was
not
thinking
always.
the same thing.
And of course, I can't think of an example right now, but no, you would think, but no. Yeah, of course, I can't think of one right now, but I have seen them where, like, why don't they just take one of the album tracks and split?
Right.
But it was
to be fair, you can buy the single, you can't buy the album track.
Maybe. But if you were really lucky, the very first 8-track I ever bought was Journey's Escape.
Yeah.
And the song Dead or Alive is split between two programs, but because of the length, it's also repeated somewhere else. So every once in a while you'd get lucky like that. And the song that they'd split would be in its entirety elsewhere. But
interesting.
Portability was what it was all about. The ability to stick one of those players in your truck or car and go.
Yeah. Ironically, I didn't know anybody who had one in their truck or car. I didn't know a single soul who had one in their truck or car. Lots that had them in their family unit, though.
Yeah, that too. But
yeah, like
it wasn't the ultimate in hi-fi experience. That's for sure.
When I had my first car back in 1988, it had an 8-track player in it, and what I ended up doing, and this is extremely high tech, guys, so bear with me. I took. You guys remember the cassette adapters?
Oh,
yes. In the book.
Yep. I would use a cassette adapter in the 8-track player, and that's why I listened to GNR, Appetite for Destruction, and Def Leppard Hysteria all through 1988 and 89.
Now, I imagine that there's got to be some loss of signal between the adapter and the, like, compared to playing a cassette in a cassette deck. There has to be, right?
I don't know. It sounded pretty good to me when you cranked it up loud.
Well, for the longest time, all I had for a CD player in the car was a cassette adapter, But it worked.
I had kind of a jerry-rigged speaker system, too, so I probably wouldn't have noticed it. But, hey, it had tunes
there
in my
it is.
car.
There's the adapter.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that. That's what it looked like.
Beat by
a lot of use out of that thing.
He's wondering if you have any, anything.
Does he mean one that had to be put on 2 tapes?
I think that's what he means, because obviously Made in Japan is a double album. I know there's that Bruce Springsteen box set, the triple, that you have in your book. The live,
live
75 to 85.
We've been talking about.
Yeah. Oh, there you go, Meat.
Double platinum.
Look at that. Double platinum.
However,
is a double.
Only if you buy it. This is a U.S. RCA Music Service version.
Okay.
If you buy it in Canada, it's all on one tape. So there must be a serious amount of tape inside it. And I got another one here too.
Now the question though is, did that 8-track come with the double platinum plaque insert that the LP came with?
Oh, I have no idea. These all came without any of the. This is fairly rare.
The originals.
Yeah.
Volume 1 and 2.
I've got some others here too that are 2 tapes. Not many, because usually they could put everything on one.
Like obviously if Made in Japan fit on one. What is that one?
Songs.
Oh.
That's on 2 tapes. I mean.
Oh, nice.
8
long
tracks.
Songs, right?
Literally 8 tracks.
Yes.
Now, of course, the 8 tracks refer to 4 tracks, but split into 2 stereo tracks. So that's where the name 8
That's
track
exactly
comes from.
right.
There are 8 tracks, but it plays 2 at a time, left and right, 2 at a time, left and right. That's where
Yeah.
the name comes from. If anybody is confused.
I don't think I haven't. Oh, yes, I do. One more. Fleetwood Mac live.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
This is a Columbia House version because you can tell with the blue boxes around them.
Okay.
U.S.
That's
They
cool.
would do that a lot. I think that's it. All the other double lives, like All the World's a Stage, Exit Stage Left, Alive 1, Alive 2, they're all just on one tape.
Well, there you go, Eric. He more than answered your question.
Look,
Well,
I get way too much enjoyment out of showing those things off.
I want to, what I want to do, I want to get to the Record Store Tales stuff pretty soon.
Okay.
We've got lists. I know Brian's got a list.
Yep.
Harrison's got at
4.
least one list from Lana and one list of your own. I've got 3 lists.
I've got 3 of my own.
You got 3 of your own. Okay. So what
I
I
can be
want to
quick,
do.
don't worry.
Okay.
I don't waffle.
What I want to do, let's go to Brian and talk about the new Kiss live that came out today. Then I'm going to play a song, and then we'll come back and do some lists. Does that sound good?
Okay.
Okay, let's do it. So, Brian,
Good.
I did not get my copy today. It is shipping date indeterminate. Tim,
lovely.
I'm assuming you don't have yours yet either.
I have to be perfectly honest. I didn't order it.
You're not buying it. Okay.
I know. I'm not saying that. But I did get this one out just to compare. This is the Tokyo one,
Yeah.
which I love this lineup. I love.
That's
this
a really
set
good one.
list.
It is.
It's worth it for Talk to Me alone.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just love it. I can't buy all of these that come out. I can't
I'm gonna.
as much as I'd like to.
So, Brian,
I'm
you're
gonna be-
basically one of only 2 people I know that managed to get it today. So let's hear your review.
You want to hear me or Tim?
Yeah.
Oh,
You're the only. You're
Oh,
one of only 2
okay.
people I know who got it today.
okay. Well,
So-
what happened? Actually, you reminded me that the thing came out today when you were messaging me earlier. I was at work and I got done with work at a really odd time this morning, and I was picking up lunch on the way home, but the place where I was picking up lunch at didn't open till like 11 o'clock, and I was done a fair amount of time before that. So I'm like, okay, I either wait in line or I can run to the local store here and see if they have the new Kiss release that Mike reminded me was out today. So when I told you that I probably wasn't going to pick it up, Mike, I had no intention of picking it up right at that point. But yeah, here is why I ended up having it is because of you mentioning it. But yeah, I bought the CD version of it. The first one, Live in Tokyo, I bought both the CD and the vinyl. Just because, like Tim was saying, I mean, that lineup is so great with Ace and Eric, and having talked to me on there, that was just, to me, that was one that I could justify having in both formats. But this one, I'm going to be honest, it's probably just going to be a CD only purchase for me. It's a pretty good album as it is. I was listening to it on the way home, and as I was driving around a little bit earlier today, it's pretty good. But if you're familiar with those instant live shows they put out back around 2003, 2004, where if you went to the concert, you could pay your $25 or $20, whatever it was, and basically go home with a copy of the show that night on disc. That's basically what it sounds like. It's that level of sound quality. A lot of people online are complaining about that. They're like, oh, it's really rough. Paul's vocals suck, whatever. But I kind of like that about it, simply because you're so used to hearing Kiss on live albums polished, and everything sounding tight and great. To hear them kind of rough and loose is actually kind of refreshing in my mind. It is the Tommy Thayer, Eric Singer lineup, obviously. The nice thing about it, as I'm looking down the track listing here, is that tour they did do some rarities like Making Love, War Machine.
That's what I was curious. Yeah.
Machine.
King of the Nighttime World. They busted out some different songs that they hadn't done in a while. So I really like that about it. But like I said, it's a good overall disc. It's probably only going to be a CD purchase, though, for me. Not that there'd be anything wrong with the vinyl, but I just can't justify it.
Triple vinyl's expensive.
Yeah. For the first one, it was definitely worth it. But for this one, I'll stick with the CD and streaming.
Now, I will say, I don't have any of the Instant Live from the 2004 tour. I started getting them. I got some from Sonic Boom tour.
Okay.
And they started playing new songs. Obviously, I wanted some of that. But now, would you happen to know? Is it identical to one of those Instant Lives back then, or is it a
I've
reissue?
had people say that it is, that you could get a Virginia Beach Instant Live. Personally, I haven't looked. I don't know. The only Instant Lives I own are from two of the shows that I went to in that era, like one from 2009 and I think one from 2010, when they were still doing that type of thing. So if the Virginia Beach one was actually available, I'm not completely sure, but I believe it may have been, because I know people online have said, "Oh, that's already available as an Instant Live."
Well, try buying one. They're not cheap.
Right.
I was lucky to get the Sonic Boom ones when they were brand new. So,
yeah.
And
now this show
not cheap.
This show was the show that they released, I believe, from the Rock the Nation tour. This was the DVD, wasn't it, from Virginia Beach, just outside of Washington D.C. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
It could be. I don't know.
But it's missing. That show had "Love Her All I Can" in it, and this does not have that on the disc, unfortunately.
Googling Rock the Nation right now. 2005 live music DVD by American Harvard. Virginia Beach, July 24 and 25.
Yeah, this is from July 25th, 2004. So
okay. So yeah, I guess the DVD's taken from two shows, and that's one of the. And what was the one that you said is not on there?
"Love Her All I Can."
"Love Her All I Can."
I believe that was on the DVD.
10. Yeah, you got it. Well, now one thing that's interesting though is that there was a Kiss 3-inch EP that came with limited copies of Rock the Nation, and it might have been in Australia or somewhere in the world. But I wonder if this CD release takes care of the 3 tracks that are on that 3-inch EP. That's one thing I want to know.
It's possible. I'm not sure. I wasn't familiar with that EP.
Yeah, well, I don't own it. It's one of those Kiss things that I do not own. Okay, well, Brian, thank you for that. I'm going to go to a song, and I believe, Tim, you got a jet, don't you?
I got a jet. This has been great, Brian. Nice to meet you. Harrison, good time.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Tim.
As always, pleasure.
I'm going to check out your book if I come across it.
One more time, you can get this.
It's only, I'm selling it privately. So if you're interested, there's a video on my channel, Tim's Final Confessions, about a 5-minute video. I flipped through the book, and you just shoot me a message on Facebook, email me at timsfinalconfessions@gmail.com. We'll get you set up if you're interested.
All right. Well, you take care, buddy. I'm going to go to a song, and then we're going to come back and do some lists.
Have a great night, everybody. Rock on.
Take care, buddy. Let's do Balls of Steel by T-Bone Erickson. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
All right. Well, his blood runs cold and he doesn't feel many legends told of his balls of steel. You better listen up. Never had a care, never worried who was there. He just looked you in the eye, and like a tiger hunting prey, now he decides, oh, if you live or if you die. Try to run, but there's no place to hide. Well, his blood runs cold and it doesn't feel many legends told of his balls of steel. Bigger than a freaking Ferris wheel. Now you've been warned, he's got balls of steel. He's a little bit insane. Don't give a shit's his middle name. When he's got you in his sights, that's when you must wisely choose your demise. Oh, do you flee or do you fight? But you won't have much time before he strikes, because his blood runs cold and it doesn't feel. Many legends told of his balls of steel, bigger than a freaking Ferris wheel. Now you've been warned, he's got balls of steel. Because his blood runs cold and it doesn't feel. Many legends told of his balls of steel, bigger than a freaking Ferris wheel. Now you've been warned, he's got balls of steel. He's coming to collect, so you better kneel. Show your respect for his balls of steel. They play a tune like a glockenspiel. Nothing he can't do with his balls of steel. His blood runs cold and it doesn't feel. Many legends told of his balls of steel, bigger than a freaking Ferris wheel. Now you've been warned, he's got balls of steel.
That was Balls of Steel by T-Bone Erickson. All right, gentlemen. So tonight I'm celebrating myself.
All right.
Why not?
Nothing wrong with that.
It's been 10 years since I posted my very first chapter of Record Store Tales, Run to the Hills. And
hats off to you.
Thank you. I originally envisioned this as a book, and I maybe should have asked Tim, what the secret is to getting a book, but it ended up being something completely different, because blogging is not the same as writing a chapter of a book. You can be very brief, and if you have a punchline that's a good punchline, or if you have some kind of audio visual aid, that's all you need. So really, a lot of the chapters of Record Store Tales would not translate into a book, and as I was kind of looking through all the different chapters, I was like, man, I sure wrote a lot of filler.
Yeah, there's also a lot of things like the search terms and stuff that if you did it in a book, you would have to leave out so many, because of, you wouldn't want to like overload it, but with like spaced out entries over years, you can, really.
The search terms that you're referring to have changed over the years. When I first started, I was getting dozens every day. All of a sudden, WordPress changed the way that they allow you to see data. And most of the search terms became hidden. So there used to be just a flood of them, floods of crazy search terms on a regular basis. But, it has dried up because there's more. WordPress changed something about privacy and what you're allowed to see.
I think over like my entire almost 2 years now, there's like 5 or 6 that I
right.
can see.
So you can see right there that something has changed, because I used to post them like every month, really. And now you're lucky to get one a year. But anyway, that's that. I consider that separate from Record Store Tales. Record Store Tales to me is a story that's non-linear, because I couldn't commit to. I got to be honest with you. I was looking over my stuff, making my lists, and I was like, man, I really want to redo everything.
No, it's great the way it is, man. It really captures everything. That's one of the things I really like about it. Once I found your blog, is it just so reminds me of growing up in the 80s and getting into music as a teenager and
how did
all
we
that.
initially
I
connect?
relate to so much of it.
I don't remember how we initially connected. Was it like through like commenting on Mitch LaFon's page, or what was it?
No, I think it was just on Facebook. I discovered you on Facebook. Well, I discovered you through the Record Store Tales, And then I think you popped up on Facebook or something like that, or I
had no
saw
idea.
one of like links to one of the record store tales on Facebook, and so we added each other as friends, blah blah blah, whatever. And here we are on a Friday night breaking down old stories. So, but no, anyways, I found you. How I found a record store tales was one of the things. If you guys don't mind me explaining it,
Go ahead.
what I like to do is if I put an album on, like a lot of times on a Saturday or Sunday morning, I'm up before my wife, and so
Yeah, me too.
like hours up. I'm a morning person, and she's not.
Me too.
But I get up and I'll be making my breakfast, and I'll put my headset on, and I'll put an album on. And when I make my breakfast, and I'm listening to Judas Priest or Kiss or whoever my flavor of the day is that morning, I like to look up articles online, like relating to that artist or that album, which is similar to like reading Hit Parader or Circus or Metal Edge or Rip or any of the great mags back in the day, only now, and do it online on the internet. And Mike, I think I tripped over your blog by chance one of those mornings. I probably typed in, Scorpion Savage Amusement or something like that. And here's a review of it, by this guy named Mike, whatever. And then, I get into it and start reading it. And one of the fantastic things about your blogs are that they link to like a million different other articles, both yourself and some of the other bloggers that you're connected with. And so I really got into the record store tales from that. And every time I start reading one of your articles, it's like going down a rabbit hole, because I end up clicking on another link or clicking on this one or clicking on, like Thunder Bay Arena Rock or whatever it's called, and one of those, or, a review that you did or something like that. And I just, every time I spend hours, going through them. And I was reading those old record store tales, and it's like, God, this is my life back in the 80s. Here in the US, he's in Canada, I'm here in the US, but it's the exact same thing, hanging out at a record store or whatever, going down there after school, to buy the latest album, looking forward to your favorite bands, next release, or reading about it in the magazines and knowing that, it's coming out this Tuesday or something. So I got to go down there after school and, catch the bus and, take my allowance down there and hope that they have it in stock or, whatnot, the typical stuff. But that's how I discovered your blog. And it's really, it's become my go-to online. It's my favorite place to check for, like, when the Scorpions album came out the other week, Rock Believer, it's like, I wonder what Ladano, thought about this. So you're like the first review that I go to.
Well, dude, I can't wait to review the full thing because I love it so much.
I'm gonna make you jealous here real quick. I know we weren't really talking about that album, but I got to show you this. I ordered it from Talk Shop Live, which is a online like sales service deal, and I ended up getting the single LP 11-track edition. I know you like your bonus tracks, but
I do.
It is what it is. But I got that because along with that, you got this autographed insert.
Oh man, we're gonna zoom in.
It's like
on
a
this.
6x8 card, and it's got
real.
Yeah, it's got Rudolph, it's got Klaus, and it's got Matthias's signatures on it. Yeah, they're
awesome.
the real signatures too.
Yeah, they are. Oh my God, that's cool, man.
So
that would make me buy another copy.
What's that?
That would make me buy another copy.
Right. And the thing is, you didn't have to pay like $100 or anything for it. It was just, it's through a special promotion that the band was doing with that service. So it was only like $35 or whatever. So,
well, that's really cool.
I'm a sucker for buying autographed rock memorabilia and whatnot.
Well,
so
when you can do it easily without having to stand in a line for 5 hours to get something signed, I say pull the trigger and go for it, man.
Right.
Absolutely. Well,
hey, back in the day, standing in line was
really
one of the fun things, though. I used to meet bands all the time back in the late 80s, early 90s by hanging out by the tour buses after shows and whatnot, and meeting the guys when they'd come out and hang out with the fans for a couple minutes off the tour bus. So that was back when you could do a meet and greet like that for free and didn't have to pay, like $1,000,
$150 or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Well, first of all, thanks for your $10 for saying all those nice things about me is in the mail. So,
Right.
thanks so much. I really appreciate that. The thing that got me kind of realizing that this was a thing to do was Chuck Klosterman, the author Chuck Klosterman. If you're
I'm familiar with him. I have his book, Fargo Rock City.
That's the one. A buddy at the record store named Kevin showed me this Chuck Klosterman book, and I was like, I can do this. I have stories like this. I can do this too. And the ironic thing is, it was one of the ones that really wasn't happy when I started doing this.
Are you serious?
Oh, I guess you're not aware. I did want to talk about this. Maybe now is the time to talk about this. Okay, let's talk about it now.
Sure.
I promised I was going to reveal a big secret. It's not a vent so much. I want to tell a story, and there's a reveal. I want to reveal a secret that's never been ever told before. And this is in regards to the events of May 7th, 2012, shortly after I launched.
This is going to be good. He's even got a date attached to it.
I got, for the first time ever, a really nasty comment, and it was anonymous. And it was in regards to a post that I had made, part 35 of Record Store Tales, called Credit Due. And it was just simply me taking credit for some of the things that I did. That's all it was. I never felt like I got enough credit for some of the things I did. And one of those things that seemed to really irritate people is that I was the one who initiated the idea of a monthly newsletter. Nobody grabbed onto it. A few years later, somebody else brought up the idea again, and they grabbed onto it that time. But, I had the idea originally. I just wanted people to know that it was my idea. Well, somebody really took offense to this. And I put two and two together.
Was it the person who came up with it the second time that didn't like it? No, it was not. But I think this person also took a lot of upset to. She does what I was doing back then. I was the website manager, and she does that now. So I think, I don't know. And there was some kind of crush going on her. It was weird. Was really weird, and this person came out of nowhere with this really nasty anonymous comment. And that's what launched me. Was this comment. Nothing like drama, right? To get hits. So all of a sudden the hits started pouring in. It increased exponentially, and I kept going because this particular person had told me to quit while I was ahead. But I'm the kind of person that, as a kid who was bullied as a child, I fight back now. So I took this anonymous comment and I turned it into a post, nice. Which generated yet another anonymous comment, even worse comment. And one of the comments that followed came from a person called No Longer a Customer. And I'll just read this person's comment because it was very good. I hope that the person who wrote above under the alias Unimpressed reads this. My username, No Longer a Customer, should speak for itself. I felt so compelled to respond that I took time to make an account on this site to specifically say this. I have been reading these blogs for a while now. I find them very interesting. I met Mr. Ladano in the record store chain he writes about, and I think sometime around 2001. Anyone who knows him obviously knows what record store chain I speak of. A record store chain I actually spent money in 3 days ago. And honestly, it's a place I have nothing but good experiences in. I actually found the articles more interesting, mostly because I was a customer and just a general fan of music. I can only assume, considering the content and the ignorant tone of it, that what I read above came from someone within that record store chain. What is so ironic to me is that before now, if anything, I found that Mr. Ladano's Record Store Tales gave me even more of an appreciation for the above unmentioned organization. I even went and read back some of the tales after reading Unimpressed's rant, and I found them to be simply genuine commentaries that are more playful than anything, polar opposite to the self-righteous and mean-spirited dribble I just read above. Earlier I said that my username should speak for itself. Probably a little harsh and unfair, to be honest, but come on. Having had many conversations with Mr. Ladano, I must say he seems as genuine, mentioned above, as I found his stories to be. I know other people who know him as well and literally heard nothing
literally heard anyone speak badly of him. Mr. or Mrs. Unimpressed has represented this record store chain with very mean and ignorant words. And suddenly I realized there are other options in this area to spend my money on music and DVDs. So I hope that other representatives of the aforementioned record store chain are embarrassed at the opinions expressed above by Unimpressed. You really should be. Well, that rant, I had no idea who wrote it. I was very grateful that whoever wrote it defended me, and believe me, there were a lot of comments defending me. But turns out I got a phone call later that day from one Mr. Eric Litwiller, who was the anonymous author of that comment. And Mr. Eric Litwiller wrote that very kindly on my behalf. A little bit of bullshit there. I don't think he really had any intention of stopping shopping there, but his hope was to get that person in shit with the boss at the record store, and I hope it worked, to be honest with you. I have always said from the beginning that I was going to be honest about my feelings, and the things at the record store, they were great for the first few years, and they went down the toilet very quickly as we expanded. And I'm honest about my experience there, and I don't think I was treated fairly there. And nobody's going to tell me I can't tell my stories.
Right. So
for someone to come along and tell me to shut up, it reminded me of working back in the record store again.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I wish them all the best. I still shop there from time to time. I have no ill will anymore. I just wanted to tell my story honestly and truthfully to my perspective and my experience. And I think I did that.
So the person telling you to shut up was a co-worker of yours at the record store?
Actually, it was somebody that I initially trained and managed.
Oh, okay. So they were another
allegedly, right, and still works there today, and allegedly developed a weird crush on me at some point. I had to be told about this. I was completely oblivious to it. But everybody's like, "Are you sure you're oblivious to it? It's so obvious." I was like, I don't know. I don't know anything about it. But anyway, long story short, this person decided that she hated me at one point or another, and I can't really remember why. It happened in the year 2006, and I don't know why, but she just decided she hated me out of the blue. I wish I could tell you the answer. It might have been the fact that I
you weren't returning her affection. That's what it was.
It coincided with me meeting my fiance, now wife.
Nope.
Read into that what you will. Regardless, that's all just gossip and shit. That was the start of it. That was my launch pad, and Eric Litwiller was the man who wrote under the alias "No Longer a Customer." And this is the first time in the whole 10 years of the site that I have revealed this information to anyone. So thank you, Mr. Eric Litwiller. He told me at the time he went out of his way to purposely write differently than his normal style, like use different words, use different punctuation. That's why all those quotation marks were in there.
Probably a good idea.
I had no idea. I told Eric Litwiller this week, and he's like, "I wrote that? What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Dude, don't you remember phoning me?" And I honestly had no idea. But that launched me, and then everything took off from there. I think if the early record store tales have a weakness, though, that I see in them today, it is that some of them seem that I knew I had an audience of haters. Some of them seem directly aimed at the haters, and I regret that now because that was a temporary thing. But it was an organic growth, and I think, personally speaking, a lot of the record store tales that I like best are the later ones. But we'll get into that when we do the lists, let's do them.
Sure.
Okay, so I know I've got 3 lists. Brian, you have 1?
I've got 1.
Okay, and Harrison, you have 4 altogether?
Yeah, I have Lana's and then 3 of mine.
Okay. With
2
Lana,
short Cincos, so.
With Lana not being here, why don't we start with hers? And she did 6 for a change.
Yeah, she has a Japanese bonus entry on her Cinco.
So does hers, would you say hers counts as an official Cinco?
I mean, it's a list, this is not the occasion to be disqualifying people.
Okay, I agree with you. So we're going to call this a Cinco with a Japanese bonus track. Okay, so
especially for the brain, I'm present.
Cinco de Listo. Here we go.
5 You got my fingers in a fistball. Cinco de Mayo. The pentagram made of crystal. Cinco de Mayo. Got my bones left in a pistol. Cinco de Mayo. One bullet shy of a pistol. Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo.
Big shout out to T-Bone Erickson, who's done all the music that we've heard so far tonight.
Nice.
Go ahead, Harrison, with Lana's Cinco de Listo.
All right, so this list is in no particular order, and though I hadn't been following your blog when Record Store Tales first started, I've read some interesting posts that have stood out to me over time. And
Now,
think
I
that's-
will just quickly, sorry, I keep interrupting. I will just quickly say that I glanced at her list but did not read it.
Yeah, it's reflective of her experience in that 5 of the 6 entries are from the 900s.
Makes sense. A lot of mine are too.
Wow. So number 6 of hers is number 956, My Enemy,
Oh,
which I think was sort of like a follow-up to an earlier one, because I'm pretty sure
yes and
you
no.
touched
It was,
on this topic.
topic,
earlier.
yes. Person, no.
Mhm. So she says, bullying is a very serious subject, and it is always shown in movies and TV shows. Though violence isn't the answer, I do believe it is important to stick up for yourself because the bully will keep picking on you if you don't do anything about it. I admire Mike's courage for standing up to his enemy, and thankfully he wasn't badly hurt physically.
True.
So number 5 of hers is number 934, What Now? And she says, it's not easy talking about mental health online, so I admire Mike's bravery for doing so, knowing that there's someone out there that's going through struggles too. We all want something to look forward to in life, and the things that make us happy, like music, family, friends, doing a live stream, or reading a book. I don't know much about seasonal affective disorder, but that's why I enjoyed reading about Mike's experience with it and how it affects him. No one has to be happy all the time.
Aw,
It would be nice if you were. but-
would be nice.
Okay, then her 4th entry, she specified the reblog version.
Okay.
It's number 776, Wagyu Shook Me All Night Long reblog. Besides the clever title, this post also made me really curious about Wagyu steak. Mike and his wife Jen were celebrating their 11th wedding anniversary, which was really sweet. They also rocked out to AC/DC, which is always a good thing. Plus, I enjoyed Mike's humor with the gangster photo in the jacuzzi. I think
I
that's
caught
why
a
she
lot of flack for
specifies
that.
The reblog.
Oh man, I caught a lot of flack for that photo.
I'm not sure if that's in the original, which is why I think she specifies the reblog.
I can tell you that one of the best comments I got about that photo was that I looked like Kuato from the original Total Recall. And Brian, if you know what that looks like,
I've seen Total Recall, but no, I don't.
just a big
Oh.
fat guy with no shirt on, and yeah,
Okay,
Not
I think I remember the scene.
that was the best comment I got about that photo. I looked like a big fat guy in a tub. Anyway, sorry, go ahead, Harrison.
All right, her 3rd entry, number 955, Music Enjoyed Alone. I prefer to listen to music alone because that's my me time. Plus, if there's a song I really like, I can just sing along to it without anyone complaining about it. I thought it was cool how listening to music alone brought Mike and his... How listening to music... Oh, okay, sorry, I thought she'd made... Let me just say that sentence again.
Okay.
Where am I thought it was cool how listening to music alone brought Mike and his friend Bob closer in a way that, because they talked about the music they just listened to and got each other into different bands. Music is a very special thing, and it can be your friend.
Yeah,
Sorry, I messed up a lot of those words there.
it's very similar to the way that, as friends, we listen to music today. Brian listened to the new Kiss on his own. He's telling me about it. And then when I get it, I'm definitely going to be telling him my feelings. So, it's
Right.
very much the same today.
I mean, heck yeah, how many things have you bought because I've made you spend money on
Enough.
it? Not all of it, I'm sure.
No.
I'm sure we haven't reached the end of that.
No, but there's certain things like, this is the most recent that Harrison
Yeah.
got me to buy. And I haven't finished listening to it yet, so I can't really comment yet. Anyway, go ahead with number 2.
Yeah,
Okay,
thanks,
her
Mike.
number-
You owe me $20 for this.
Oh,
I would have purchased it anyways.
yeah.
Okay, her number 2 entry, number 938, Tears of a Clown. She says, this is another mental health post, but I find these types of posts very important in today's society so that others know that they're not alone when it comes to their demons. Again, I admire Mike's bravery for discussing his struggles. I do too. In this post, he talked about a friend he met at a cognitive behavioral therapy group. He also met a son who had a great sense of humor.
Yeah.
A friend's son was battling his own demons, and he unfortunately took his own life in 2015. I like that Mike also tied this in with Robin Williams' death in 2014, since both individuals were similar in a way.
Yeah.
Both were smiling and making people laugh on the outside, but on the inside they were hurting deeply.
I can tell you for a fact that kid, he was so funny. I would have been begging for him to come onto the show tonight because he made me laugh so hard. Hey, thanks, T-Rev. T-Rev was there with me in 1994 when we both started on this record store journey. I was about 3 to 4 months ahead of him, but that's it. Otherwise, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to go on with their final entry.
Yeah, go.
And her final entry, number 942, My Brushes with Metallica. She says, I love reading about how people got into certain bands/artists because everyone experience is different and it's part of their story as individuals. And if I'll interject, there's a reason I like Blaze Bayley with Maiden as much as I do, and it happens to involve how I got into that band. But continuing on. Ever since I got into rock music, I've been enjoying these posts about what it was like growing up in the 70s/80s/90s because their stories are the only way I'll be able to live through those decades. I love the Load album because of how different it is and the fact that it's underrated. I remember the first time I heard Mono Said, I couldn't believe it was the same band that wrote Creeping Death.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing wrong with Load being someone's first Metallica album because everyone gets into a band at different times. Plus, it was the grunge era where it was uncool to like heavy metal and hard rock, which makes the story much more interesting.
There was less heavy metal and hard rock available, and so I expanded my taste into Metallica. Simple as that. And it was this guy here who really kind of got me into Metallica. He really wanted me to get into the Black Album, but truthfully, it was Load that was the one. The best thing about T-Rev is that he's a drummer, and we would drive everywhere, record store shopping, everything. And if I was driving, that meant he got to play drums in the passenger side. And he would use my floorboards as his kick drum, and he would use his laps as the snare, and he would literally be like playing Creeping Death in my car, like, and then he'd get out of the car and he'd be like, oh, my legs are so sore. Oh,
that's interesting because I recall you saying in a comment once that no drummer, air or otherwise, is a Metallica fan.
That was just against Lars. That was just me making a Lars joke. Truthfully, T-Rev probably played the drums more precisely than Lars, but it was always fun. Matt Sorum from Guns N' Roses was probably the guy that T-Rev is best at emulating in the car. That the drum part that introduces "You Could Be Mine." You know the part. Matt Sorum reuses that drum pattern in a number of songs, and T-Rev can reproduce that so well in a car floorboard. Let me tell you. Well, I just want to thank Lana Taramay. I'm not sure. I think Taramay is how you say it. Lana, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it, and you have inspired me. I'm going to continue to write about those subjects. I'm going to talk about mental health. I'm going to talk about getting into music in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, and I'm hopefully going to entertain you. That's the plan.
That's the beauty of the blog, how you interweave all that stuff, and it's just that's what's so entertaining about it to me. Really, I mean, if it was just strictly about music, it would probably just get boring after a while. But it's just the way
I would get bored.
Interacts with everything and relates to everybody else's life too.
Wow, check that out. That's another Matt Sorum drum part right there. But he knows what I'm talking about because he was the frickin' car drumming master. I loved driving with him, and me specifically driving because of that drum part. If I was drumming in the passenger side of his Jeep, it sounded like shit. Okay, so that was Lana's list. I don't want to jump into Brian's yet because you've only got the one. Maybe I'll do one. I'll do one and then Harrison. Okay, you do one.
Yeah, because we
Okay.
got 3. We
Okay.
just alternate.
I'm going to start with my top 5 worst episodes that I hated. Oh, I only wrote down 4.
Tales or of
Yeah.
Brain Train?
No, of Tales, and I erased one apparently. Okay, the first one
You
that I
needed
don't,
that much, huh?
apparently I'm gonna okay, so I'm just gonna do 4 or I'm gonna wing it. The first one, number 5, part 103, Grubby. One of the earliest chapters about buying CDs from a grubby dude who asks a million annoying questions. Truth of the matter is that this story I'm not 100% satisfied with. It's not about a specific person or a specific instance. It's more an amalgam. All these things happened. They just didn't necessarily happen during the same interaction. Excuse me, I burped.
Right.
So I'm not 100% satisfied with Grubby. I could have done better. I was probably short on ideas that day and decided to amalgamate some stories into one for creative license, but I wish I hadn't, because it's not as historically accurate as I would have liked it to be. Part 51, Senor Spielbergo. All it was me telling people that my nickname at the record store for a brief while was Senor Spielbergo, which is a Simpsons reference. Steven Spielberg's low-budget Mexican counterpart. Not worthy of a full chapter. Dissatisfied. Part 49, Strippers.
Okay.
Again, it's too brief. Wasn't really worthy of a full chapter to itself. It's more like something that would have augmented another chapter better. It was basically saying that you can always tell a stripper because they talk like this when they come in. They've all got the smoker's voice. They all call you hun. Hun. So not worthy of a full chapter in itself. Same with part 121, movies. It was basically just talking about, we used to stock movies. Here's the first DVDs that I bought. Here's what, our selection used to be like when we first got DVDs. Not very good. Not
Wasn't
worthy
the
of a
one
full
with the
chapter.
funny comment about the John Wayne movie where he shoots someone or something?
I'm not.
Sorry.
I'm not remembering that at all.
Yeah.
You just reminded me of the first DVD that I ever bought. I was an early adopter of the DVD format back in 1997. I had
I was a year after you.
The second generation one that I paid believe it or not, this is going to sound ridiculous now, but at the time I paid $500 for it. And this
I paid.
Yeah, this was just a basic DVD player, which was actually a really good one because they were really sturdily built, unlike, the plastic cheap ones today. These things were, this was like a tank. It did one
it have
thing,
the
it did one thing
VHS
well, played the disc.
option as well?
No, it didn't. It was simply a DVD player. But the first movie that I bought when I bought the player was Clint Eastwood's In the Line of Fire.
Oh, that's a good movie.
Yeah, it was a pretty good movie. You just reminded me of that, though.
T-Rev reminds me of somebody. Hey, T-Rev, do you have any DJ Rectangle? DJ Rectangle? Oh, man, we hated questions like that because we're not dance music guys. What the hell do we know about beats per minute? We don't know. Some of those dance CDs did have that kind of information on the back, but very, very few. And I guess I will say for the last part that I didn't like, I don't have the part number offhand, but the part called Stalkers, and I could have done better. They weren't really stalkers. I was just coming up for ideas for titles, really. And there's this one guy that used to come in, and there was something wrong with his nose. It wasn't like physically you could see anything wrong with his nose, but it was like his nose was blocked or something. And he'll come in, he asks for Mario Lanza. You have any Mario Lanza? T-Rev will remember Beer. There's a guy comes in, asks to reserve a CD. What's your name? Beer. And T-Rev goes, your name's Beer? That's pretty cool. He's like, no. Beer. Oh, Bill. Your name's Bill. Sounded like he said beer. So, inside joke between T-Rev and myself, that customer was known as Beer.
Mr. Aerosmith.
Oh, that's a true story, too. During my first year, this still Scottish kid came in. He's like, hello, sir. Do you have any CDs by Mr. Aerosmith? He got you good. Oh, man. I remember T-Rev one time had a guy Rush's Test for Echo had just come out, and some guy did not like it, and he returned it the same day, but it was completely hacked. He had completely destroyed the CD in his car disc player in between buying it and returning it. And T-Rev's like, no way, I'm not returning this. So he called me and he's like, Mike, there's going to be a guy coming to your store in about 10 minutes trying to return a Test for Echo CD. Don't let him return it. It's hacked. It's destroyed. Don't let him return it. Boy, I unfortunately, I got the brunt of it. He was really pissed off by the time he got to me. And I asked him if he dropped it. He got really mad. Anyway. That's my list of my top 5 worst record store tales. I could go on and on because there were, honestly, truthfully, I'm not satisfied with the first 100 chapters.
So you're the George Lucas of record store tales. If you could, you'd go back and you'd change everything.
But Brian, I would do one thing majorly different from Lucas. Whereas Lucas likes to add things, I would compress them. So I would take the first 100 record store tales and I'd turn them into 25 is what I would do. But that's my own self-criticism.
And us fans would bitch. No, we want everything, damn it.
Right. Harrison be like, but what happened to the chapter about Blaze Bailey?
Right? Yeah, if somebody tells me, there were 20 extra minutes in this Star Wars movie, but we cut it out, I'd be just like, show me it. I want to see more.
Right. Now,
then we get online and complain that Ladano's editing his stuff again. Dang it. Keep messing with the perfection.
Yeah. Well, Brian, why don't we do your list?
Okay.
Do you want to do your list next? Now, what did you do? Did you do an 11 or did you do a 5?
I basically did a 5. I've got 2 or 3 honorable mentions.
Okay.
That I thought of after I came up with the 5, and I'm like, I can't leave those out. But yeah. So just so Harrison knows, what I did was me and Mike were talking about these the other day, and it sparked my idea for the list. I did top 5 metal compilations from the 80s. And now, having said that, I'm going to start out with a couple of the honorable mentions that weren't really metal so much, but they are absolutely excellent classic rock compilations. And I have the vinyls here too, so bear with me for a moment as I'm digging them out so I can hold them up. This is a great one from the late 70s. And again, this is not metal at all, but it's absolutely classic rock, and it's absolutely stellar. The soundtrack to the movie FM.
Ooh.
It's all like Steve Miller, Boston, Dan Fogelberg, Foreigner. It's a 2 LP collection, gatefold. But yeah, it's the best of the best. A lot of these artists, Steely Dan and Bob Seger. You can't go wrong with this as an introduction to classic rock. If somebody came into your life and said, tell me what classic rock is, this would be a double LP set that would get them started on the right path. So that's honorable mention number 1.
That's cool. I've never seen that.
Honorable mention number 2 is another gatefold movie soundtrack. This one, I believe, from 1980 or 81. And the title is a little bit of a misnomer because it's called Heavy Metal.
Yeah. But
the music on it, about half of it is what would have been considered metal back in the day, and the rest of it is also classic rock. But it's got Black Sabbath, Blue Oyster Cult, Cheap Trick, Devo, Donald Fagen, Don Felder, Grand Funk Railroad, getting tongue-tied here, Grand Funk Railroad, Sammy Hagar, Journey Nazareth, Stevie Nicks, and a couple European bands, Riggs and Trust. But this is just excellent. It really mixes up the tracks. It's got Mob Rules, Veteran of the Psychic Wars, Heavy Metal, Taking a Ride, the theme song by Don Felder. It's got a great album track by Nazareth called Crazy, A Suitable Case for Treatment.
Yeah.
There is not really a bad song at all on this album. And again, it's a double LP set, so that says a lot because, it's got a lot of tracks, so there's a lot of potential for filler there, but not happening with this one.
Nope.
Honorable mention number 2, that was. Okay, awesome. We'll get to the list now.
Yeah.
And these are the 5 really, there's a lot of compilations out there that I could go through, but these are the 5 that have gotten a lot of play for me over the years, either in the car stereo system on the turntable here at home, or the CD Walkman when I would be out for walks, or the cassette Walkman even. Number 5 is this one. It's a K-Tel deal, I believe. I'm using my bifocals here. Yep, K-Tel. K-Tel's a Metal Meltdown.
I know a
Cassettes.
K-Tel cassette compilation.
Yep, cassettes.
Not that one. I
And-
have a different one, but
You can't really read the artists on there, but I'll run it down for you a little bit. It's got Anthrax, Scorpions, Striper, Accept, Wasp, Exodus, Vinnie Vincent Invasion, Dio, Lizzie Borden, and Judas Priest. This is a little bit on the heavier side compared to some of the other compilations.
Yeah.
But this is a really good one if you like to bang your head while you're out for a walk, or if you've got a cassette deck still in your 1996 whatever beater. Number 4, this one got a lot of play back in my car back in the day. It's let's see, what is the record label? I want to say it looks like Columbia Records.
Okay.
Loud and Proud. Trying to get it.
Okay, I've seen this one before, or I've seen.
Yeah,
ads
it's only
for it.
got 8 tracks on it, so it's a little bit on the shorter side, but it's like the best of the best as far as radio tracks back in the day. It's got Warrant, Down Boys, You've Got Another Thing Coming, Priest, Balls to the Wall, Accept, Paranoid, Ozzy, A Girl School, Brittany Fox, Carrie, Europe, I'm On to You, Hurricane, and Come On, Feel the Noise, Quiet Riot. So like I said, really short, but it gets to the point, and I think the reason that I bought it probably was to get a cheap copy of I'm On to You.
Can you just hold that up for the screen real quick again?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, so all I want to say in my sarcastic font is, boy, I really love how they maximized the cover art there by putting an entire 3 artists' names on the front cover.
Right. Compared to the last one, Metal Meltdown, where they list
Right, that's
everything,
busy.
side 1 and side 2.
Yeah, exact opposite. 2 different artists, obviously, designing those covers.
2 different record companies. Actually, it's
Yeah.
funny. The K-Tel one, Metal Meltdown, is the one that has all the info on it, and Columbia cheaped out and just went with the 3 band names.
Yeah. Weird,
Must have been the
though.
3 that they thought would sell it at the time. We got Priest, Ozzy, and Quiet Riot on the front.
It works better than putting Hurricane on the front.
Right. Well, let's see. This one is particularly close to my heart. This one's called Metal Mania, and I played this a lot. I played the hell out of this back going for walks and stuff back in the day, and this saw a lot of action in my cassette Walkman. It's got a lot of great tunes on it. Slaughter, LA Guns. It's got Ace, Rock Soldiers, Bango the Bells by Babylon AD. Side 2's got Faster Pussycat. And I discovered this track because of this album, Kingdom Comes, Do You Like It? The title, or not the title track, but the lead track from their second album, In Your Face, which most people didn't really know about. But I discovered that track and ended up purchasing that album, actually.
It's a killer
just because
track,
of this
man.
comp. It's also got Bang Tango, Someone Like You, great track. And it closes out with Danger, Danger, and Princess Pang's Trouble in Paradise. So, again, you can't go wrong with this one. Nothing but good hair metal bangers on Metal Mania.
Sex Action, LA Guns. Yeah.
There
It's
you
a
go.
Killer tune. Killer
Baby
tune.
knows wherever she goes. Okay, we're getting to the top 2 now. So,
Okay.
and Mike, this is kind of the one that sparked the idea for this list because we were talking about it the other day. I just picked this up on vinyl recently, but I've been familiar with it for years.
There it is.
I remember
The
getting
original
ticked off.
Masters
That's
of
the
Metal.
original.
Volume 1.
Right.
This thing
two
is so
is the one-
badass.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the track listing, and sorry guys, I don't mean to waste a lot of time with the track listings, but I think for some of these comps, it's really important.
Yeah.
But this really sets the mood. If you're like listening to it when like the sun's coming up or the sun's going down, and you're listening to this track listing, you've got Black Sabbath, Trashed, Ian Gillan era, Y&T, Mean Streak, Dokken, Breaking the Chains, Zebra, Who's Behind the Door, Dio, Rainbow in the Dark, Crocus, Screaming in the Night. I mean, can you get more moody than those 2-3 tracks back to back right there? I don't think so. And then side 1 closes with Kiss, Lick It Up. Side 2, we've got Rainbow, Street of Dreams, Maiden, Run to the Hills, Rush, a live version of Tom Sawyer, Triumph, one of my favorites on this album, A World of Fantasy. And then it closes with Twisted Sister, You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. And then they had to throw in Van Halen, Dancing in the Street, probably just to brighten the mood of the rest of the album's mood a little bit. But I love this one because, like I said, it's got such a mood to it when you listen to those particular tracks back to back. So
yeah, they were
if you can
sequenced
find it,
with care.
Masters of Metal.
Now, Volume 2 is the one that launched me on my musical journey.
I remember getting
I found that
Volume
interesting
2.
reading your blog on that one, that they repeated Run to the Hills on
Weird.
Volume 2.
So strange.
Yeah. Okay, that leaves the last one. This is the one that really got me into metal compilations back in around 1983, 84. It's called Metal Mayhem Heavy 2. And this is another K-Tel deal. But it's got quite the lineup on it. As you can see, it's got Twisted Sister, Priest, Crew, Uriah Heep, Motorhead, Angels, Kiss, Iron Butterfly, the 3-minute edit version of Inagata Devita, Cold Chisel, Crocus, Dawkins, Saxon, Free, and Y&T. Pretty good comp there.
When you say Angels, is that the American band, the Angels, or is that the Australian band?
I believe it's the Australian one, because the American band was just Angel. Singular.
Yep. What song is that Angels song?
Night Attack?
I'm not familiar with that one, but I just find it interesting that Cold Chisel as well, Australian band, appears there.
Interesting. I've never heard of Cold Chisel.
Yeah, this release
Jimmy Barnes was his band before he went solo.
Now it looks like we have some surprise that you haven't got Metal for Breakfast on your list. That was sort of a legendary one when I was growing up.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that I don't have, unfortunately. I see stuff that people post online once in a while, and I'm just like, I have nothing compared to these people. Because, you'll get these European record collectors that have all these European, metal comps from the 80s, whatnot. And it's just stuff that I've never heard of.
Yeah.
These ones weren't part of the list, but I will show them just real quickly. I won't go through them track by track, but we've also got a good one called Metal Mania. That's like
cover.
Late 80s. We've got another K-Tel one, I believe, Metal Wars. Heavy Metal Assault featuring Bon Jovi and Slade and
Looks like they were
Boys.
kind of going for maybe a little bit of a Star Wars-y kind of logo in a way.
Right. We've got another one here that I found recently called Killer Watts. This is a double LP thing. It's got a lot of different stuff on it. It's got
Judas Priest is on all of this stuff.
Yeah, Judas Priest is a pretty common one on most of these. So they must have been selling a lot of comps back in the 80s.
Yeah.
But it's got Priest, Nugent, Blue Oyster Cult, Journey, Aerosmith, a bunch of other good artists.
Journey's on all these things too. As Eric says, though, nothing says metal more than Open Arms. That being on the heavy metal soundtrack.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that one is actually on the heavy metal soundtrack. I don't know if you can get more kind of contrasting than that.
Exactly.
But, last couple here.
I've got that.
This is one that a lot of people know. I see it pop up every once in a while online. It's the Monsters of Rock compilation from the very first Donington Monsters of Rock.
Yeah,
1980.
So 1980, I believe, is the date on this one.
Yeah, that's Graham Bonnet was in Rainbow at the time.
Yes.
Oh, here's another one snuck in there. I forgot I included this one.
This
was put out by RCA Records. It's called Let Them Eat Metal. It was what they called it, a metal sampler.
Let them eat metal. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Let them eat metal.
It's got a lot of unknown bands at the time. Grim Reaper, Mass, Autograph, Shy. Also, big surprise here. It's got Judas Priest on it. Go figure.
They're on everything.
Yeah, Scorpions, White Wolf, some other bands. And the last one is a really obscure one that I found when I was record hunting on a vacation trip last summer. This is called Lady Killers. As you can imagine.
It's all female.
Yeah, it's mostly female artists. I mean, there's males in some of the bands, but the leaders are for the most part women. A collection of 11 tracks by 11 bands. And it's mostly bands you probably haven't heard of. The one on here that it did get a little bit of notice in metal magazines back in the day is the band Hellion with Anne Boleyn. She's got a track on here. Other than that, it's just, it's a cool compilation of obscure bands. But
that is cool.
Yeah. That was my idea for the list because me and
Oh,
Mike
thank
were
you.
talking. He's just like, I saw his Masters of Metal post. I'm like, dude, that's such a great album. He's like, yeah, you should do that as the list. I'm like, I think I will.
That was my Masters of Metal was really my launching point into heavy metal music, and it could have happened before Masters of Metal came along. It could have been any kind of music that I eventually was going to dive into, but it was that on December 26th, 1984, and sitting in the basement playing Atari with Run to the Hills going, and something clicked, and I've never looked back. And I wish I could go back to that day and just watch it happen. My life changed for the rest of my life.
Right.
And that was Record Store Tales Part 1. That was what we're celebrating.
Yep. I've read that one a few times.
It's such a good day. My best friend Bob, man, we had such good times. We were hand in hand. We were fist to the world. And a lot of the later stuff that I write now is before the record store. It's all stuff that about Bob and I hanging out and discovering music. And I think, you know,
that's some of the best stuff.
I think so too. The record store stuff is interesting, and don't get me wrong, I'm glad that I wrote all of it. But now that I've expanded my palette to include everything and not just the record store, I'm much happier. Much happier.
Yeah, I like reading that stuff too. Again, it all comes back to what I was saying. It's your blog is so relatable. That's what I really enjoy about it, is just like reading those stories about you and Bob, or you and your sister, or you and whoever, you know, discovering music at the lake, or you're bringing your albums with to listen to, or, you know, whatever you're doing, you know, biking home, or making movies with your buddy and listening to Iron Maiden or something.
Yeah, there was always music was there. It was always there. I had a funny memory about my sister, and it's gone now. But she used to not listen to a lot of the same music as me, but she knew all the bands. Like, she knew Kiss, and she knew Motley Crue and all this stuff. And when I was first starting to get into music, I remember she liked Nicky Sixx the best because he had the spiky hair. She loved the spiky 80s haircuts. And Nicky Sixx in the video for Too Young to Fall in Love had about the tallest hair that anybody had ever seen.
Yeah, I remember that video.
It was great. That was such a huge entry point for us, you know, that Too Young to Fall in Love video. It was so cool. You know, them doing all this kung fu fighting and stuff. It was cool.
That was a trend back then in metal videos.
The post-apocalyptic.
Yep.
Lick It Up. All Hell's
Kiss.
Breaking Loose.
All
Queen
Hell's
of the
Breaking
Reich.
Loose. Look it up. Yep.
So many Rocky Like a
Into the
Hurricane even looks like it's like in a post-apocalyptic kind of thing. Armored Saint, Can You Deliver?
Or the band guys, like Rocky Like a Hurricane, the band guys in cages, you know.
Right. Being surrounded by like animal women. Yeah, they're like animal women. And you know, Lee Aaron, Metal Queen, it's like she's like some kind of barbarian, but it's the future because there's a robot spidery thing. It was a popular genre, though. I mean, it was the era of Mad Max. Which, you know, home of Mad Max right over there. Anyway, let's go to another list, shall we? Harrison, you got 3.
Yes, I'll be quick with mine. The first one is a synco of the top 5 reviews you've done on this site. There are 2 honorable mentions. The first is the Cross Purposes Live dual review we did together.
That was great. I was very happy and still very proud of that. You did great on the video. Or you did the video, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did the CD. You did the video. Yeah. That was great.
Yeah. And I initially sort of like did a very restricted sort of scope on that, only sort of like touching on the video itself and the extra songs, because I thought it would be like just like a stapled onto the bottom of yours rather than get a actual chapter of its own. And the second honorable mention, I think it's a Tears for Fears album. It's got like a blue background and there's like a white swan on it. It's like Daz something. Daz Schn something. Anyway. This album, I was, you know how you've got your recent likes of rock, on the side. Yeah, I was scrolling, and this album was there, and the name of the title, I didn't fully read it, but I just caught it, and I swear for like I read it as Das Schnauzerfest, and I was like, hang on a minute, that can't be right. Yeah,
talking about Faith No More, Das Schutzenfest.
Yeah, that's the
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, we're getting the Russian spam is coming back. Okay, so hang on. There we go. Block. Fuck. We had no Russian spam for like 2 weeks, and now the Russian spam has returned. Okay, go
Well,
ahead.
Maybe that's a
The
good thing.
actual
Maybe
list.
that means Putin has lost his control of their
internet.
their media. So
Yeah.
things are getting back to normal in Russia.
Entry number 5.
Okay.
Quiet Riot 3.
Oh.
My
I've caught flack for this.
considerable artistic skills were on full display here.
I drew a picture. I cut and paste a picture of a shit, I believe, over the album cover.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah,
Might have been hand drawn.
It was very primitive cut and paste, I think. I think.
Yeah. But yes, that was funny.
Yeah.
The funny thing, I was talking with John Snow about it. You hate Quiet Riot 3, but you don't mind the one with the Mad Max cover, whereas John hates the one with the Mad Max cover, the recent one, but likes Quiet Riot 3.
Road Rage.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I like Road Rage. You're right. The James Durbin, the first James Durbin album. I do like it. Yeah, 100%.
Interesting.
Hey, thank you, Kevin. Thanks for showing up. I really appreciate it. Take care, buddy. Have a good weekend.
He might be insufferable at times, but he's our insufferable.
He's
audience
our
member.
Kevin. He's nobody else's Kevin. He's ours.
Yeah. Okay. So number 4, Virtual Light Strikes Over France re-review.
Redux? Yeah.
Yeah. This one meant a lot to me that you actually went back and did that for me.
Yeah, it was your Christmas present that year.
Yeah, and the fact that you were more positive as well. I've still yet to be able to find one of those, but
I was so disappointed when I bought it, man. Like, I got it home and I was like, I can't listen to this. And I paid like $80 or something.
60, you said.
Well, you know what? I think it was probably more than 60, to be honest with you. I think it was closer to 80. But anyway, yeah.
Number 3 is another one that meant a lot to me. It was Blaze Bayley, Alive in Poland.
That was
you bought this one on recommendation from me, and I had this incredible unfounded anxiety that you just wouldn't like it for some reason. So when you reviewed it and you really liked it, that was a huge weight off my shoulders. I'd hate to make you spend money on something that you don't like. And I think you did a damn fine job of reviewing it too. Like, you did it in a lot less words than I did, and I think you did it just as good, if not better, as me. Like, there's this one line that you had. I think it might have been the opening line. It was Blaze Bayley sang on 2 Iron Maiden albums, and he's not about to let you forget about it. That just summarized it so beautifully, so perfectly, that line.
And that's not a negative.
A little
either.
Jealous that I didn't come up with that.
And I didn't mean that in a negative way. Like,
of course
if I was
not.
an Iron Maiden for 2 albums, you can guarantee that's all I'd ever talk about.
I interpreted that as like a lay down the law, like, like I was there, and I did a damn good job.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. I was there is what he's saying, and that's good for him.
Number 2, Kiss Best of the Solo Albums. This was the 0-word review.
The pictorial.
I love this one. Yeah, it's just so much fun. The picture that you do for "You Matter to Me," where you're like pinching your nose and screwing up your face, that cracks me up every time. I love that picture. And yeah, I went and did my own 0-word review inspired by that one recently.
Thank you.
And I do plan to do more 0-word stuff, but not reviews, because it's hard to condense all the thoughts on an album into one picture. But I do have things planned. And lastly, my number 1 review is the one that got me introduced to the site, which was Best of the Beast 2 CD edition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's a beautiful, beautiful album that I'm very happy to still have in great condition. But I sure do wish I had that vinyl that I saw in that Dr. Disc store that one day for like $250 or whatever it was. And I did not investigate and find that track Revelations was exclusive.
Well, it's exclusive in audio form,
right? Which is enough for me.
The audio is taken from their Dortmund show, which is available on the DVD the early years.
Yes, it is. But I want the audio.
Of course, yes. But...
All right. Well, cool. Thank you for that list, Harrison. Thank you so much. Should I do the next list?
I think so. I think it'll just be back and forth between you and me now.
All right. I'm going to do the final list, though, it's going to be a Nigel of my favorites. I'm going to do my top 5 meat posts. And this isn't necessarily stuff he wrote. It's partially stuff he wrote and partially stuff he did. My number 5 is oh, wait.
Is that
he's
me?
here. He's here.
Speak of the devil.
Oh.
And he shall blow smoke in your face.
He's here. Speak of the devil. He shall blow smoke in your face.
Kill your speakers, man.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Kill your speakers.
Oh yeah. They're killed.
Well, you're just in time. I was about to do my top 5 meat posts.
Yeah, I saw that you were doing one, and I knew I had about 15 minutes. Let's just say, me and Mike Kudis were last night partying it up, and I'm still not feeling 100% on par.
T-Bone's here. Well, Meat, thanks for coming. Your timing is impeccable. Here's my top 5 meat posts. Okay. And again, this is not necessarily stuff that he wrote. This is a combination of stuff that he wrote and stuff that he's in. Number 5, part 355. The man's hot piss warmed my freezing cold hands. This is partially written by Meat in that he told me the story verbally, and then I immediately wrote down and typed it in. And I used as much Meat quotes as I possibly could. But the long story is that Meat and our mutual friend Joe were driving to Windsor, Ontario in the middle of winter, and Joe's car has no heat. And Joe had to piss. So he took an empty coffee cup, pissed in the coffee cup, handed it over to Eric, who found that the body heat from the piss was warming his freezing cold hands. And it was like, and I think my favorite line that he said in that post was, "What is the greatest gift that you can give? The warmth from your own body." And so after he warmed his hand with the cup of piss, he ejected it out the window. And that's about the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, it was about an hour before Windsor. Somewhere around there.
And you're not stopping to piss, that's for sure.
No, it was not good.
Going to include the story about him peeing.
No, that's coming. That's coming.
Oh, I wonder what he's talking about.
That's the very next one, number 4. Actually, you know what? This is actually the original ODP. This is not your ODP. The original ODP in part 169 is Joe Perry.
Mm-hmm.
At the record store where we were having a conversation, and he's like, "Keep talking, but follow me." And I was like, "Okay, where are we going?" And he's like, walking through the store into the back room. "Where are we going?" "Oh, just keep following me, but keep talking though." Goes into the washroom, and I'm like, "You don't want me to follow you into the washroom?" He's like, "No, just wait outside." Starts pissing. So keep talking, keep telling your story. And I'm like, "Are you pissing?" He's like, yeah. It's the open door piss. Don't worry about it. And that was the first time of the ODP that I had encountered. Now, Meat's encounter is a whole other thing, and I didn't actually include it on my list.
Good.
The next thing on my list is the Lennon Claypool Delirium review that you did, and we told the story early about how you gave Geddy Lee a contact high that night.
Yeah. Completely, like I said, it was completely by accident. Like literally standing beside a tour bus, and it was out front. It was right out front of the Danforth Music Hall, and it just so many people. You're not really. No one really thought, "Oh, we're right beside a tour bus." And if anything, you're thinking, "Well, I guess Les Claypool's in there, or whatever, or
right,
or Sean Lennon." And then the exhale, and oh my God, it's Geddy Lee. Oh my God, I just blew it in his face. Yeah. It is.
But having said that, although that story is my favorite part of the post, it's a great review of a great concert.
Yeah, it was cool.
My next one that you did is the tribute to Jeff Woods. Kind of came out of nowhere, didn't expect it. He's a good man. He did a lot for us during the Sausage Fest years, and a solid human being deserves a solid tribute, and I think that one deserves a little bit more of a spotlight. So really enjoyed your tribute to Jeff Woods, and tied with that, I have your Paul McLeod post, which was not dedicated. It wasn't written for me. It was something you wrote on Facebook for Paul.
Yeah,
but I copied and pasted it to my site, and a few people have discovered it there. Yeah. Probably easier to discover it there by Google than on Facebook. And that was from the heart. That was one of the best things you've ever written. And then finally, possibly the very first thing you ever wrote for me, the Wasp Metallica 1984 review.
I think that was the first one.
Or 85. It was 84 or 85.
Yeah, I was January 19th, 1985.
There you go.
I mean, and it's very strange. Like, it took me a while to even remember that I was no longer a customer thing 10 years ago.
I know.
But I still remember many, many things about the show in 1985 when I'm, 15 years old and seeing Metallica open for Wasp. Like, it's so, all of it is so burned in my brain. Yeah.
It's the only thing of yours that I think I've edited since the original post, because there was a little bit of blowback about one of the characters in the story that the politically correct world, the woke world we live in today, doesn't really like the way that we talk about that person, I guess. So I edited details out.
The funny thing about that is that I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
It was an old friend of mine and Scott Hunter, his name was Kevin when I knew him. Yeah. He had a sex change operation and became Triva, and part of that was in there. And the funny thing is, like, when I wrote that, it was pretty much not a thing that anyone talked about. Like, it's not out of ignorance. It just wasn't a thing, and that's all I knew, like, about it. And
all it was it was an excuse to have the punchline about, this guy was a notorious liar.
Yeah.
So you were making a pun based on, Never Cry Wolf.
Yeah.
And that was it. And I took it out, but too much flack over the years. Didn't want to deal with that anymore.
And the funny thing is, the third time I saw Kiss at the ACC, where was it? 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It was. I saw it with Scott Hunter and Triva.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Like, you went with them both.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
So no hard feelings, obviously.
No.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's my top 5 meat posts.
Cool.
And that's it.
I'm really surprised. I'm really surprised that you didn't include any of the meat slices, to be honest.
The whole series that we did on Kiss was great. You provided a meat slice for every single album up to Crazy Nights.
Yeah.
And then at that point you said, I can't listen to this anymore. Like, this is beyond what I can handle for Kiss.
Well, remember, no, and that's not, I think you're false on one part too. There was a Crazy Nights one that we transcribed a conversation, and it wasn't the last one, because I did comment on your Revenge one.
Oh, okay.
I did.
But that was it. Yeah, that's right. You said, I'm going to do Revenge, but you said, then I'm out.
Yeah. There was no way I was going to be commenting on Hot in the Shade and Asylum,
I think you did comment on Asylum.
Oh, I might have. Yeah, actually, if I did, it would have been short, sweet, and not very nice.
I would say that the meat slices that you did, the meat slices that you did for the whole Kiss thing were fantastic. But I kind of went for more individual posts, and I focused on poo and pee for some of them, because that's just natural. It's a natural thing for me to focus on, I suppose.
Well, it was weird, like doing the meat slice. I remember by the time that was all done, I had more respect for you doing blogs every day, because I had to do a lot of them.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't know, I don't really want to do this anymore, because there was just so much. Then it's the way it went. So.
Well, I loved your meat slices, and I don't know if there's ever another opportunity to do something like that again, but I would jump at it in a heartbeat to do it again.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah. So what are you up to?
Mike, he was talking about you and your ability to write so much every day. It's just like, I can't believe your content output. I mean, I like writing too, and I wish I had more time or inclination to do it, but it's just like, I see your stuff and it's like, this guy is like unstoppable as far as writing.
Well, you know who deserves the credit? Who deserves the credit is the missus, because she lets me.
Oh, okay.
She lets me come home every single day. She lets me come home and sit in this chair and be creative for an hour or two. So she deserves 100% credit for all that.
How much of them do you actually do while she's watching the Leafs?
A lot.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
There's no game tonight, but the average hockey night, sometimes you can probably hear her in the background yelling at the. I know last Saturday with Lawson, I could hear her yelling at the TV.
Oh, I heard it.
Oh yeah, there you go. So there's a perfect example.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here talking about jazz music, and all of a sudden you just hear in the background, "Fuck!"
Yeah, and I remember thinking, this doesn't sound good. I don't think the Leafs are winning, and
I know.
it was exactly right.
Yep.
Yeah. Mike, I'm gonna have to dump out at this point.
Brian, thanks for coming by tonight, buddy. Maybe one day we'll do like a dedicated Kiss show or something.
Yeah, something like that. I'd gladly join again. This was a lot of fun. So, yeah, keep up the great work, and keep the tales coming, even if they're not record store ones and whatnot. And
guaranteed,
I'll keep listening and reading. So,
before you go, I just want to tell you I got an email. My Kiss did ship, so I might get it tomorrow.
Woohoo! All right, was it 1 day shipping or?
Yeah, Amazon Prime.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
weekend delivery. What is this strange thing?
But I haven't got they haven't given me a shipping notice on the new Ghost yet, so I don't know. We'll see. At least I'll have Kiss.
Hey, one last thing on that note. Do you have like a record store still near you, or?
Yeah,
you shop at your old one once in a while, right?
The old one that I used to work at is not very far from me. It's a 5-minute drive. Encore Records downtown, I mostly order online from, but sometimes I just get Amazon Prime because it's the fastest and most convenient for me. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't like going out to start with. Meat knows I'm a notorious recluse even before COVID came along, and COVID has only made me more reclusive.
Sure. Now,
so
Michael Morwood, who is 18, I believe,
and we'll be on this show April 1st. Michael Morwood will be on.
He is the nephew of Tom Morwood, who
a legendary
many years and has been my partner in crime for a long time, and his nephew is now working for the Meat Goes On,
the record store. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Second generation, maybe the only one that's actually a second generation employee.
Yeah.
Oh.
True story.
Yeah, I used to have a lot of record stores in the town here that I grew up in, but most of them have closed. So now it's pretty much a Barnes and Noble or ordering it online. So,
well, we have.
Where are you?
Just north of the Twin Cities in Minnesota, just north of St. Paul, Minneapolis. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Right
but
on.
We'll stay.
Anyways, I'm going to call it a night, guys. So have a good night, and thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Take care, Brian. You have a good night.
You too.
We'll see you.
See you.
Meet earlier tonight when we had Tim Derling on.
Yeah.
All 4 different time zones. First time it's ever happened. All 4 different time zones.
Oh, really? That's wild.
Yeah.
So I was curious if you saw the most recent Contrarians episode on Kiss.
The Lazy Nights?
Yes.
No, I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, I like their idea. I really do like their idea.
Is it a Marco episode?
Marco and the other guy was a guy named I believe it's Brett. I'm almost positive it's Brett. Me and Brett and Marco a couple months ago tried a wrestling top 5 thing that was not broadcast, but it was something that we tried out, and it was Marco and Brett. And what they did was Brett had side A, Marco had side B, and they each gave their top 5 worst Kiss songs. And made an album. Like, this is the worst of album. It was actually a neat idea the way they did it.
I like that.
It was really, really cool. And I have one bone to pick with Marco when I do speak with him, is that one of his honorable mentions is one of my favorite Kiss songs of all time.
Which one?
Spit.
Well, I like Spit.
I love it. I love that song, and I love it. I loved it for years. But he almost had it on his list. Like, of course, Burn Bitch Burn was on there, and
Log in Your Fireplace.
Then She Kissed Me was on there, and Kissin' Time was on there. It was interesting.
I put most of Animalize on there myself.
It's a fun watch.
I will watch it this weekend. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll put it up as my Sunday screening.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I
Fun
know.
watch.
I know. Marco said he wasn't 100% sure if it was a format that they're going to continue, but I guess
I
you
liked
think it's
it.
good. I like the idea, and then now that you just detailed it for me, I like the idea. I could easily do a Kiss album like that of my own easily, but it'd be cool to see what
Absolutely.
those two guys have done.
And like you can do that with any band that's had lots of stuff. Like imagine a Black Sabbath one or Judas Priest one, which is pretty much like about 3/4 of the catalog.
You mean 3/4 of Ram It Down?
3/4 of Ram It Down plus Loch Ness.
Well, we've talked about an overrated album thing, and let's just say that British Steel might appear in there.
Yeah, you know what? We were talking earlier at the beginning of the show when Brian came on, British Steel versus Screaming, but I think I'm more of a Screaming guy than British Steel.
I don't listen to Screaming, and I only listen to British Steel when it's on 98 Live Meltdown.
That's a fight between a worm and a mastodon. Give me a break. That is no comparison. Give me one is a monumental album. The other is United.
United.
How many crappy songs are on that album? Like,
They didn't even finish recording Rapid Fire. It's missing its chorus.
Really? I didn't know that.
Well, Ripper added the chorus.
Ripper added a chorus.
Song 10 times better.
I don't agree, but anyway. I don't know. You were there from the beginning. You stood up for me when I got that bullshit comment that one day, and nothing's been the same since. But as I was saying earlier, I think if I have one regret, it's that I knew I had a certain audience, and I maybe catered a little bit to that audience in the early days, and I kind of regret that now. But I think it's more than made up for by the stuff that I did later on that's much more varied. But I think in the early days I was more like, oh yeah, you guys are watching? Well, then I'm gonna assert myself.
Well, you got a bit more of a thicker skin than you used to. I mean,
a lot of it is getting all of those stories out and getting them out of the poison out of my body.
But I remember you got pretty upset with me for a while because I said the Warrant sucked, and
oh yeah, I was mad at you,
and I wasn't going to back down. I was never going to say, well, yeah, maybe you're going.
Actually, I think we argued about Tesla. I think it was Tesla.
No, we would no, because I have respect for Tesla. A Warrant is a target.
I don't really even like Warrant though.
Well, you certainly.
I must have. I don't know what I was on back then, but anyway,
you certainly flew the flag.
There are certainly conversations that I've regretted since then, but only with you, not with any of the other former employees that I no longer speak to. I don't think I really wish to go back in time with any of those guys. I mean, they were reading when I started, and they didn't like what I wrote. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't, and that's another thing. Just to bitch one more time. If you don't like what you're reading, don't read it.
That's right.
That's all there is.
Right.
Like
it's no different than hey, you don't like Sex in the City? Change the fucking channel.
Right. Like the one guy that I kicked to the curb. It happened when I wrote the final chapter, the day I quit the store, and he emails me this big long email, and I was like, dude, don't read it. I told you this months ago when you first said you're not happy with what I'm writing. I said, don't read it.
Life.
So yeah, it's as simple as that. Life is choice. Life is choice. I don't sit here and listen to Ted Nugent talk. I'll listen to Ted Nugent sing, but I won't listen to him talk. So, I filter that out of my life.
Gotcha.
It's not that hard, really. We live in an era of information everywhere, and you can pick and choose what you want to entertain yourself with. I hope you picked the LeBrain train. Are you going to be back? Are you going to be back in 2 weeks when we do the second anniversary LeBrain train?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I know next week you're doing Snow and Tell or something.
Yeah, well, sure. Why don't we talk about that right now? I received this amazing artwork from T-Bone Erickson. Let's see if I can find it here.
I'll have some artwork for you in a week's time as well.
Oh yeah, I know.
I've been dying about. Show you that for the past week now. I had it all finished, and then you're like, 2 weeks, come back to me, and I'm just like, oh.
You know what? Maybe I'm not going to show this artwork because maybe I can't find it.
So,
Yeah, you know what?
Speaking of T-Bone, let's just say that T-Bone and I have been in discussions. I've been, let's just say there's a song that is ready, the Maxiac song that's ready to go. And I got to write lyrics and whatever, and melody lines and all that. And I've already had some test things back and forth with T-Bone, and who knows? We'll see what happens.
Okay, T-Bone actually, just as we were speaking, he just sent me a brand new version of this artwork.
Oh,
This is typical T-Bone. T-Bone will tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak until show day, basically. So here's a sneak preview for what we are doing next week. There it is. Jon Snow and myself, and maybe Harrison too, are going to be showing off our rock and roll collectibles. Snow's got a collection of those Funko Pops, and he's also got a ton of ticket stubs, which I don't know how T-Bone knew that.
So
But
is that
T-Bone,
the one on the right? Is that a Richard Dreyfuss Fungo?
ironic, I asked that exact question. I said to T-Bone, I said, how did you find a Richard Dreyfuss Funko? And he said, no, it's not. He made it. It's a website you can go to and make your own.
With that beard, it's kind of got a bit of a Charlton Heston feel.
Yeah, very outdoorsman kind of looking guy. Whereas
And
I think I
yours?
look like Jack Black.
Maybe Jack Black. Maybe Urkel.
Maybe Urkel, a white
Urkel.
Urkel.
Yeah,
A white Urkel. That could very well be. Anyway, so that's Meat will love this show, the Rock and Toy Show. That goes back to the early days of the LeBrain train, but we'll talk about that in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you want to say?
No. I think I'll get out here and try and recoup again.
Okay. Well, you get some rest, and
I'm going to.
we'll be seeing you in 2 weeks, I hope.
Harrison, good to see you again.
Wow, that's a compliment.
Peace. I'm not sure what any ideas or thoughts on any sort of list shows that are being talked about in the future. Or what?
Yeah, well, I think what we want to do is we want to do that 1986 show with Ralph Vitale from Ralph's Rock Shop. So I'm thinking, next week we got Show and Tell, then we've got the second anniversary, and then we got April Fools. And then
I think it's about time you took a week off, because that'll be like 6 or 7 or 8 shows, like straight on week by week by week.
Maybe, or we'll do the Rock Shop one. We'll do maybe we'll do 1986.
And then later, I want to do 1988 with me and Dave. You like we did 81.
Yeah, sure.
I have always wanted to do that exact same format again. Like,
yeah, me too.
Where,
I like it.
Where we all pick 3, and each person make sure that they all listen to each other's albums, and it just makes a pretty good discussion. 1988.
Yeah, the way I see it, 80, 81, 86, and 88 are the 4 biggest years in heavy metal. And I think if we go like 80, 81, 82, 83, we won't reach 86 and 88 before the LeBrain train's over, unless we really crank it out. So I think we just go 86, 88 and focus on the big years.
So what are we doing first, the 86 or the 88?
86 is a special one with Ralph Vitale.
Yeah, I don't want to keep pushing Ralph off. So I want to do him in April.
So the Ralph Vitale is going to be a 5, like a single listo.
Yeah, just
and then 88, like we're doing the 3 thing, like we did before.
Yeah. I think 86 will be like more of a standard kind of show, just because we got Ralph on.
I'm sure that Hazen will be into it.
Cool.
So yeah.
All right. Well, I hope to see you in 2 weeks, and then we'll see you for the next listo.
Sounds good, Ben.
All right, rock on, Meat.
Take care, boys.
See you, mate.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Ciao. All right, Harrison, let's go to one more of your lists, because I want to do the last one.
Well, if you're doing the last one, then I'll do my 2, because if it's bouncing back and forth, then okay. So this next one is a Cinco of the top 5 tales.
Okay.
The honorable mention here goes to, I didn't get the number because it was just an honorable mention. It's not really a tale, but it was hilarious. I loved it. Your lyrical analysis of Gucci Gang.
That was popular at work. Yeah, that was. I was told at work I should do that again, but I haven't been inspired to. Oh, and thanks for showing up, T-Bone. Thanks a lot. Love you, man.
So now I've picked 5 tales basically that I really like, and the interesting part is they range from like the entire thing. There's like one from the below hundreds all the way to one in the 800s.
Well, thank you.
So I'll start with number 5. It is number 149, and the award for the most embarrassing goes to
Puff Daddy.
Puff Daddy. This was just a fun tale. I have sort of my own story with this disc, because when I went to my very first CD and record fair, I saw this song not once, not twice, but 3 separate times. I saw the CD single twice and the soundtrack album once, and I didn't buy any of them.
I have all 3. Like, I got 2 different CD singles and the soundtrack album.
Yeah, I was tempted to get it just because of, you know, I'd read the tale, but I didn't bring myself to. I was just like, I can't.
To
I'm not having that in my collection.
To just elaborate, we're talking about Puff Daddy's cover of Kashmir that goes something like this. Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. Very, very, very bad.
So number 4, tale number 554, La Lufa.
Really?
Was just hilarious.
Really? Because I thought that was one of the, you know, it almost made my worst list.
I just love the way you wrote this as well, like where you go like, you know, like I told him, not mine, silly pants, my words exactly, like that sort of like wit. I know Aaron didn't like that one because Aaron doesn't particularly care for that kind of humor where people are kind of making fun of each other. So interesting. I'm fascinated that you picked that, because that would have made my delete bin. I just thought it was really fun to read. And
the only thing I like about it is the picture of Optimus Prime with the loofah on his head.
Yeah. Plus, I learned what a loofah is. So
I didn't know what a loofah was before this.
Plus, I just love the word loofah. It's just a funny word.
You ever see the movie Bad Santa?
No.
There's a woman in the movie who always wants this loofah, and she keeps asking, "Did you get the loofah?" I didn't know what a loofah was.
And speaking of fun, we have entry number 3, which is tale number 98, which is 5 fun facts, and it's really fun. I really, really enjoyed this one. Like the thing about Columbia House manufacturing their own CDs, that was mind blowing. Like it was a factor, and it was fun. And the fact that learning as well that CDs played inside to out and like scratches on the outside is important. That was actually legitimately useful in my life as well. So I learned, I enjoyed. It wasn't really a tale as much. It was a tale only in number, but still. Right.
I can tell you that Tim Derling knows much more about the Columbia House manufacturing than I do, because they were at the end really the only people manufacturing 8-tracks.
Number 2 is number 363, The Art of the Mix CD. I really like mix CDs. At this point, I hadn't started doing my mix CD monthly, but I did have them. So, you know, not only did I like reading someone else's take on mix CDs, but I also learned a bit as well, like, you know, fade out the live tracks was not something, and like equalize the volume level. My mix CDs were very rough and raw, and, you know, I just slapped them on there, didn't bother with track titles almost, because, you know, I sort of like knew which one it was by the color and design of the case. But yeah, going back now, it does make it a little boring, because I just take pictures basically for the front of just like case with blank disc on case. Anyway, and my top tale. This isn't really a tale because it's a video, but it's number 836. Transformers 2: Revenge of the Schnauzers.
You know, that almost made my list. It almost made my list.
This was really fun. Transformers is fun. And this is the video basically that solidified my love for Max the Axe, which is something I didn't bring up on the Max the Axe show, but wanted to, because it was the Transformers Max the Axe connection that Dave would have hated, because it was basically 40 minutes of Max the Axe that I was with. And it was basically what, solidified it.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that one. It almost made my list too, but I really had to narrow it down.
And so my final list, my 3rd one, is a Tufnell, but it will be quick. I didn't really know how to describe this, but
you're doing a Tufnell?
Yes. Oh, okay.
We have to do this because we haven't done this since summer. We haven't done this since the original finale. Are you ready? Nigel Tufnell, top 10, baby.
Nigel Tufnell. top 10. The top 10. Oh, this one's gone to 11. The top 10.
Oh, I missed that. I missed that. Okay.
That was a blast from the past, which is coincidentally what my top 11 list here is. I've basically sort of like went back through the site and dug up all these little things that you might have done once or you did for a bit and then it stopped. And I just wanted to basically bring these up for memories and laughs. And oh yeah, I remember that. So we start with with a more recent one in number 11. It's the Sunday Chuckles. I enjoyed these. It was fun. You know, you get to see funny things each Sunday. And to sort of go with this one, because I had more than 11, so I sort of like put two together to go with the funny thing. As you alluded to earlier in the week, Johnny Cock, that name.
Glad that's no longer around.
Yeah. So number 10 is the WTF search terms, as we mentioned briefly earlier. This is a classic. These are really fun. And I think what made more fun is your replies to it, You know, like the search term itself is already a joke, but then you get a second one with you sometimes. Some of the ones like, I think it was like Gene Simmons, and then it was like jerk or something, and you're like, Gene prefers the term arsehole.
It's
just
true.
Like that sort of like phrase, in terms of phrase and witticisms, that was just really fun.
Oh, thanks.
And of course, just wondering how the hell did this lead to the site?
I know.
Of course, that only applied for the first one, because after you did the first one, obviously that's going to start showing up.
Right.
In those
generates its own.
Yeah, it became a self-fulfilling, self-perpetual thing there.
Like your favorite search term.
Yes. Well, not my favorite, but the most iconic.
The most iconic from the early days, for sure. I don't get it anymore, though.
Yeah. Then number 9 is the 200-word and the 0-word challenges.
Yeah.
I preferred the 0-word challenge, but there is as well merit.
I think I'm going to do more of those this summer. I think I am.
They're just really fun. They shake things up. And of course, cracks me up seeing the pitch for You Matter to Me every time. That was just perfection. All right, so number 8, guest shots. Remember these? Other people used to write for your site. It hasn't
done that in a long. Well, Thunder Blackmore.
Yeah, we've had a couple. Yeah, it used to be a lot more common, but yeah, those were fun. I did a couple myself before writing my own, and I've sort of want to bring up a specific one, which was a series, Tyler and LeBrain.
Yeah,
in the early days.
It was an attempt to do something like this, but I didn't really have the tech or the solid ideas, but it was an interesting. It went fine up until we really pissed off Meat at the end.
And then there was the one where the dual review between where you insulted the gold lame trousers, I believe.
Yeah, HMO, Heavy Metal Overlord. Yeah, we did. That was Funky Junction, a tribute to Deep Purple, which I listened to only 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I actually like that disc, so I have to thank you for bringing that one to my attention.
And that was HMO's line about the gold lame trousers. And and the lead singer, Benny White, saw the review and commented, which was very kind. That's nice. Very nice.
It was a much nicer comment than you've got from people from Joey Belladonna's side of things.
No, Joey Tempest.
Sorry. Yes, that's right, Europe. No.
The worst one, though, was Jamie Oldacre, the late, great drummer, Jamie Oldacre. Saw my review for Fraley's Comet Second Sighting, and there were some comments left by Jompa Wilmanius about his drumming that weren't very kind comments. And Jamie Oldacre had to see those comments on my site, and that doesn't bring any joy into my heart.
So we're not having him on then?
He's gone. Jamie Oldacre's gone. Yeah.
And then for my number 7th entry, I have the 1986 saga, which was a important thing for you.
Thank you.
And my notes for this just has the word "oops."
Right, that was the comments, the comment marathon the one day.
That was an unfortunate coincidence that it had to coincide with Holland asking me, you want to try, go and see how much we can do, just shoot the breeze stuff. It was unfortunate. that it had to coincide on that day. Any other day,
Yeah.
you know. I feel bad about that.
The
still.
following week or the previous week, and it would have been just fine.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I feel bad about that. Just
Shit
unfortunate
happens.
that it happened. Yeah.
Shit
I
happens.
basically spent the time, you know, doing my listening of like 6 Judas Priest albums or something as part of the because I was doing my Judas
you were
Priest
in the middle
review
of that.
series at the time. So I took the time to basically just smash through like AOR, Nostradamus, and all the way through to Firepower when I was doing it. So there was some productivity going on.
Well, that's good.
But yeah, all right, number 6 is where we start to get into a little more obscure stuff. We've got the classic quotes, and to go with this, the shit LeBrain's dad says.
LeBrain's dad hasn't said a lot of weird shit lately. But I bought him a metal detector for Christmas, so who knows what'll happen this summer.
Yeah, there were tons of classic quotes, so I couldn't, you know, put all of them here, bring them all up, but just a couple of the ones that are, oh, and of course, we play Ksa for used CDs as well. I've lumped that in with this one.
Ksa, yeah.
Yeah. But some of my favorite quotes are Pink Floyd, where do you keep him?
Him.
Do you have anything by the country guy who always wears the hat? And this one always makes me laugh. Where do you keep the good music?
Here's one of mine. The new pornographers. What happened to the old pornographers? Yeah, good one.
There's also like Black Sabbath 1991 and just Who, not the Who.
Right, that was the albums that don't exist post.
Yeah.
Yeah. Black Sabbath 1991, that used to piss me off. It's like, there is no such album, man. Like, fuck off.
All right, so number 5, reader spotlights. This one was done shortly because most of the readers write as well. So
yeah.
But
I interviewed
myself
you and I did
Halen.
Halen.
Yeah, myself and Halen got it. I got it after I helped you acquire a reissue of The Sultans of Ping, a deluxe reissue. That one,
man, that
I brought that
CD.
to your attention. Yeah, the story that just happens so out of the blue. Like occasionally, at times in my life, I would go to eBay and put in like the Sultans of Ping actual six and the Cineplex and stuff, just to see what it goes for and how much of them are on the market. You know, just out of curiosity. And just one day, out of the blue, it just popped into my mind. I wonder how much that goes for. And so I typed it in, and then I saw the number 2018, and I'm like, hang on a minute. And I started, you know, researching, and then when I realized what I had, I'm like, holy shit. The brain is going to shit.
And currently I have the reissue and the original that Aaron bought me too. So that's kind of nice.
There was actually a Japanese edition as well I sourced for you at one point, but I brought it to your attention at Christmas, and you're like, yeah, I spent all my budget. And it's a good thing I didn't. You didn't buy that.
Yeah, because I would have preferred.
Yeah,
I would have preferred getting the double.
And so number 4, some of the interviews, this was mostly restricted to the earlier days, but Brent Durner, Brian Vollmer, Eddie Jackson, Catherine Ladano, and Mr. 1537 have all had interviews on your site.
3 of those, being Durner, Vollmer, and Eddie Jackson, all happened years before I launched the site, and they were just something Vollmer happened when I launched the site, shortly after. But the other 2, Durner and Eddie Jackson, were from before.
So for number 3, something I really enjoy, the unreleased 4 o'clock foreplays. There were 2 of these. They were really fun to try. And I always find it really interesting when the tales on like the site's content relates to the period between the record store and you starting the site, because it's not a very commonly touched on period of history. So it's always interesting to me to because obviously your childhood gets covered a lot, the record store tale got covered a lot, and you write a bit about, you know, the modern day stuff, but that period, you know, not touched on as much. So it's always interesting to read for stuff from there, and I always like throwing my hat at them, trying to create my own and all. So it's fun. Here's one, number 2, that I have a huge amount of respect for your patience, your dedication, your attention to detail for this. Your Lego album cover competition.
Oh, I used to enjoy doing that. Yeah.
The amount of effort it would take to do that, you know, to get the colors in get the right shape, you know, for for 4 or 5 different albums. Like,
no, that was just a website. It just converts a photo. To
oh,
like
it does.
Yeah, that's all it is. That's
You
all I
shouldn't
did.
have said that.
No, there's. Okay, so sorry, Harrison. We're sorry to disappoint you. That's just a. Yeah,
all right, scratch that off.
It was still fun. I still enjoyed doing it.
No, it's great fun. Seeing that. That was
The Metallica
obviously.
Black album was a good one.
Yeah, the first of the 3 were easy, and then after that, very hard. And number 1 is one that I wanted to do myself because reading it was so fun, but obviously my collection is minuscule, so nothing goes undetected here, and I have a pretty iron fist on what comes into my collection. It's The Musical Crimes of the LeBrains. This was a load of fun.
Those
it was
were
hilarious.
like 2 of the final chapters of the original Record Store Tales before I decided to do the ending.
Yeah, I believe The Musical Crimes of Mrs. LeBrain was one of the ending chapters where you went through Jen's CD case and made snarky comments on her albums. And then one of the first Getting More Tales, I believe, was Jen's Payback, which was just as snarky and just as fun and hilarious. And I really enjoy reading those.
Thank you.
Mike owns Nickelback. And
she'll be thrilled to know that one of hers is number 1. She'll be thrilled. Yeah,
and what was another one? There was it was like, this thing is designed to get people to second base. You are married. You don't need this. That was Rod Stewart.
Was it Rod Stewart? I was going to say it was probably Villa Vallo with him.
No, that was
Rod Stewart
album.
I like Rod Stewart, man.
But it was like the one of all the love songs.
Oh, yeah. But it has Broken Arrow on it by Robbie Robertson, which is a beautiful song.
Yeah, that's just some of it. That was really fun. So that's my top 11 blast from the past. Fun little things that, happened a while ago that you might have forgot about.
Well, thanks. I enjoyed that very much. I guess it's me now. This is the last one. First, I will give you some runners up before I do my list. Number 499, top 5 most heinous rock criminals. I really enjoyed writing about people like Vince Neil and Phil Spector and all these people that have done horrible things. And
Sorry, I was just going to say that an honorable mention from my blasts from the past would have been the top 5 lists, like the top 5 hats in rock.
I enjoy doing those. Top 5 shoes, top 5 noses. I've done all kinds of. I keep getting messages from Chris Sarr.
Top 5 criminals was one.
Another runner-up, number 625, The Last Fanboys. I wrote this while incredibly sick with the flu, and The Last Jedi was getting incredible blowback from whiny little prissy fanboys, so I decided to give them some shit. Number 400, The Open Door Shit Theory. This is the very first time I used an AutoCAD diagram in any of my posts, which I think is still a community exclusive. I don't think anybody's done that. Record Store Tales Part 251, Punched in the Teeth by Love. I enjoyed reminding people that the Motley Crue song Punched in the Teeth by Love was originally conceived in 1991. People don't really realize that because it was on the New Tattoo record. Part 253, Angry Man Go Boom. I can scarcely believe that this actually happened in the store where this guy smashes a CD in front of me screaming at me that he's the customer and he needs a refund because he's the customer. So you don't have a receipt, go fuck off. Part 265, A Nightmare on Cocknuckle Street Redux
that
Special
one
Edition.
Almost made one of my tape.
That was a true story, and it was really cool because what I did is I found my original diary where I as fresh as my memory was, recorded the exact conversation. And what it was is at Christmas time, this guy phoned me up and said, "Where's my order? I ordered this." I looked in the computer, didn't have it. Looked some more. We didn't even have an order for it on record. And this guy's furious, just furious. It's like, how the fuck did you rocket scientists lose my order? And turns out he called the wrong store. He should have called the store on such and such a street and not the store on such and such a street. And then when I told him that he called the wrong store, he goes, "Well, how come in the yellow pages?" And I was like, just fuck off. You never apologized. Part 225, Bait and Switch. I enjoyed using my Fortress Maximus toy as a prop in the photos. But that was a story of a guy who switched price tags and got caught. But the boss let him get away with it, which we all have different ways of approaching things. Part 86, Captain Goldshirt. some dude wearing a gold shirt caught it on our sign, our street sign, and threatened to sue me for his gold shirt. And of course, part 7, a shitty story. Story of how some guy shit his pants on the way to work one day. Or on the way home, actually at work one day, and had to walk home with shit in his pants. Not going to talk about that any further. Those are just my runners-up. Here's my actual Nigel Tufnell top 10 record store tales, my personal favorites. Part 19, The Rules. Iron Maiden, the first 10 years box set. That is a story that I recently told on this show, I believe. And I may have told it on Tim's Vinyl Confessions as well. It's absolutely one of my favorites. I think even Martin Popoff read it and liked it. It's a story of how I acquired that Iron Maiden first 10 years box set. And believe me, that's a good story. Part 929, The Neanderthal Flute. I really enjoy doing actual hard research sometimes and writing an article of an interesting musical subject based on research. I've done a couple of those, and a couple of those are on my list. Number 909, it was back in the summer of 83. There's a reason I remember it well. It was the summer of Return of the Jedi, and I really had a lot of fun revisiting that, and I found photographs and whatnot. It was a wonderful, magical summer. Number 431, Oh, Judas Priest. Story of going to Catholic school and getting in shit for wearing a Judas Priest shirt. There's some weird shit in that story that I don't know if it was real or a dream, but I have a memory of being in the schoolyard and being lectured about heavy metal fans being druggies. And I don't know, honestly, truthfully, I don't remember. I can't tell you if that was real or a dream, but it's as vivid as if it really happened.
Well, correlation does not equal causation.
Correlation does not equal causation. Either way, it's a good story. Number 850, Truly a Marvel. This is something I really enjoyed writing because my dad is actually the guy who got me into Marvel Comics. He would buy us comic books at the store, and it's a life-changing experience for me getting into Marvel Comics. Number 820, I really enjoyed the entire series of 1991 was the end and 1991 was the beginning. You talked about the 1986 saga. Well, there's 2 years that are absolutely pivotal in my life. 1986, the year I started high school, and 1991, the year I finished high school. And both of them made for a pretty good series. Very different from each other, but I think they're both something I'm very proud of. Number 815, Let It Go. I wrote that in about February of 2020 before the world went to shit. And I was terribly sick. I was sick with the last time I ever got sick. Knock wood again. Sometimes you get a song repeating in your head over and over and over again when you're sick and can't sleep and all that stuff. And this time the song was Let It Go by Loudness. And I decided to write up a story about it, how I was into Loudness as a kid, how that was my favorite song. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to start buying some Loudness albums. We all know what happened from there, don't we? Number 548, Bad Boys. Story about me and Bob growing up. Brian was talking about how he enjoys those stories. The stuff that we did as kids that was considered bad is, nothing by today's standards. But I had a blast writing that.
My exploits were pretty tame at school as well. I was
right.
never one.
Yeah, this is nothing compared to, but that's what makes it fun. Number 3, 466, Clap for the Wolfman. I kind of did a combo post here on Wolfman Jack and the character of the Wolfman on a Canadian TV show called The Hilarious House of Frankenstein. It was another one of those things that was partially researched and partially just childhood memories. And for that reason, I'm very proud of it. Number 483, Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. It's another one of those researched ones, and I'm incredibly proud of that one. Buddy of mine, Alex Huard from Thursday Night Record Club, told me he really liked that one too. And finally, my number 1, obviously it had to be the entire 1986 saga, but specifically the third part of that called Just a Boy. It was fictional, but also autobiographical. and I won't rehash it, but I think it's the best thing I've ever written, and it was a cathartic experience, and it was something completely new for me. And in a way, it kind of is a launch pad for what you and I are working on right now with the T-Bone
Yeah, I was
stories.
going to bring up that T-Bone feels like a successor, a
It
spiritual
is a successor to it. It felt the same. It felt like I'm fictionalizing real things, and it felt the same. Yeah, except without the emotional baggage. The T-Bone thing is meant to be fun, and I think it is fun, and I can't wait to see. We're gonna have to post that in a week or two, I think.
I've been dying to show you what I've got.
Let's aim for, say, the week after next.
Well, a week ago you said give me 2 weeks because you want it to be fresh. So when I send you what I've got, so there's still a week. Yeah.
Let's give him the finger here. Chris Thus will be joining us on April 1st, by the way. And Eric has the question: can you point to where you are on the map?
Let me see. Where's my finger coming in?
There you go. Tip of the West.
Yeah.
And that's my Nigel Tufnell top 10 record store tales. There's so many more. I could have put the one if you have ghosts. I loved that. I loved that chapter. Another good researched one was the Golden Disc, the Voyager record. I'm really proud of a lot of those, but not so proud of, as I mentioned, of the early stuff. I think I could have done a lot better, and But hey, here we are, 10 years, and. Fuck, man, thanks for hanging out. We've been here for 3 hours, man.
There's just one clarification I want to bring up. It's more to do. Yeah, it's funny that I'm bringing this up like 2 years almost after the show started. Is when like you're speaking or when I'm speaking to you, I'm looking like in your eyes on my screen, but on my screen you're to the left of my screen. So if you're looking at me, what you don't see, like I'm not looking into the webcam, so it looks like I'm not like looking at you and making eye contact, but I am. I'm not being impolite here and looking away or looking at something else. I'm looking at you. I'm
looking at you right now. You see what T-Bone literally just sent me that. I guess that's if you want to join us next week.
I really don't have much in the way of
just show up at the end.
Off.
I don't know how long Snow and I are going to take. I'm aiming for an hour, but you never know. Just show up at the end with some stuff.
Well, I guess I have to now that he's made that.
He's done the Funko. You have to now. Yeah, you have to. I love that T-Bone is nonstop.
Well, it'll be a week from now, so perhaps we can actually know. Yeah, never mind.
Well, a week from now, we're going to be having a good time with Jon Snow and myself. We're going to be showing off our rock collectibles. You can see some of them behind me. We'll take a closer look next week. I had a blast tonight, man. Thank you for doing this. I guess I'm going to see you in 2 weeks, though, for the 2-year anniversary of the LeBrain Train.
Yeah, if there's room and if you're happy to have me, I'll be there.
Oh, I don't see why there wouldn't be room. I mean, we've had 10 people before. I can't believe that I'm so selfish that I'm doing 2 celebrations in a row. For the 2-year anniversary show, though, I definitely want Rob Daniels on. I believe he will be joining us, because really, I would not be doing this if it wasn't for Daniels. He's the one who started it, and I think his 2-year anniversary is this week of his Wednesday live stream. And if it wasn't for Rob doing that, we wouldn't be here tonight. So I owe Rob Daniels everything. And
when does Rob get a song?
Funny enough, I was wondering that myself, but I don't want to. T-Bone's got a lot in his plate.
Tomorrow night, T-Bone's going to send you a song.
I was actually thinking to myself, it would be really nice to, instead of celebrate me, to celebrate Rob. And then I'm like, but then how do we top Community? But I do want to celebrate Rob a little bit in 2 weeks when we do the 2-year anniversary of the LeBrain Train, because really he's responsible for it. And by extension of that, he's responsible for Scotch on the Rocks too. So, thank you, Rob, for enriching our lives. Okay, so real quick, again, next week we are doing rock collectibles with John T. Snow, and I guess he's obligated. Then we got the 2-year anniversary of the LeBrain Train, and then we have the April Fool's Day show, which I'm so excited about because this guy is going to be here, and Michael Morwood is going to be here. And in the very first few shows that I did back on back in the very first few shows that I did on Facebook Live, when it was just me, I received prank phone calls from Michael Morwood, as it turns out. And I've
remember
isolated all
those.
those video clips, and I will be rerunning all of the prank phone calls. I can't wait to do that. And Chris Thuss is a prank master. So we're going to be sharing memories of him pranking me at work. And yeah, we'll just be talking pranks. It's April Fool's Day. I'll also be rerunning the the videos that I've done for April Fool's Day in the past. The
Deek's Palace. Yeah.
The snowshoe stuff. So yeah, we'll be doing all that stuff April 1st. Can't wait. But I think it's time to call it a night. We've been here for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Do you want to pick the last song?
Well, I think Community, I guess.
Community. Why not? Community. I have to find it. There it is. Community. All right. So thank you, Harrison. I will hopefully see you at some point next week, and we'll talk. And thanks, everybody, for watching. See you next week.
See ya.
In the fall of '06, somewhere in the sticks of southern Ontario, we planted a seed, had a yearning need we couldn't get from the stereo. Started out as two and it slowly grew into a passionate fraternity. No matter where I roam, it's always home from here to eternity. It's where we'll thrive with community, and it keeps me alive. Community, it's my community. Community, it's my community. So I said, hey Joe, come on, let's go. I hear adventure, it's a calling me. We're gonna lose control down a rabbit hole in the heart of the big city. We're gonna squash a beetle with a rolling stone and fly the black flag all the way back home. If you eat shit flowers, I ain't got time. Don't matter what we find, it's the glue that binds, you see. It's where we'll thrive with community, and it keeps me alive. Community, it's my community. Community, it's my community. It's where we'll thrive with community, and it keeps me alive. Community, it's our community. Community, 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 community. It's our community. Community.
Hola desde Cuba a la comunidad de Aaron.